السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. YouTube, كيف الحال يا YouTube? How are we doing, YouTube? It's your boy back with another banger, inshallah ta'ala. Don't mind my dark eyes today, by the way. I've been sleep deprived these past few days, really quite badly sleep deprived. So I'm a little bit exhausted, bro. I'm not gonna lie, but we've got work to do. We've got an interesting live to dissect and get through, inshallah ta'ala. And just to be clear, in fact, firstly and foremost, let's just get through the intros. For those of you who may be new here to this channel, my name is Mahdi Tijani, as you can see from the name of the channel. And I help the modern Muslim man understand why his wife doesn't like him, why women don't like you, why you are struggling with your wife or to find a wife for that matter. So that's my job. That's what I do out here on the old YouTube. You know what I mean? Let's have a look at the chat real quick. Sheikh Ibrahim, yes, what's going on, my boy? Ibrahim Khalil, salam alaikum rahmatullah. Chad Sultan, Chad's always there. Well, this is Adonis Chad. This ain't no Chad Sultan. This is Chad Adonis. Jawad, salam alaikum rahmatullah. How you doing, my man? We've got two Jawads, it looks like. Jawad and Jawad. What's going on, bro? How we doing? Jawad Place. Pleasure to have you gentlemen here in the chat. Now, in fact, let me do this real quick. Okay, good. I'm glad I caught that. I'm glad I caught that. Flipping. Just some techie stuff. Let me just take care of this techie stuff real quick. Got it. Right. Sorry, guys. I've got to do this real quick. There we go. Bilal says, I'm tired of simp imams. Look, man, you know what? One thing this stream is not going to turn into, it is not going to turn into an insult fest. You know, there's an ayah in the Quran where Allah says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Those, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Those who fear Allah the most are the ulama, the scholars. Okay? So it stands to reason that there is a hierarchy in terms of those who fear Allah the most. And your everyday imam, your everyday sheikh, who is obviously not an alim, he's lower down the pecking order, the hierarchy. But it stands to reason that the everyday imam, the everyday whoever you go to seek your advice from, he fears Allah more than the everyday layman. Make sense? Do you understand? He has a greater level of taqwa, or fear of Allah in his heart, than the everyday layman like me and you, because that's what he does. So this is not going to turn into a stream whereby I'm going to be bashing and insulting and none of that stuff. It's not going to be like that at all. However, it is going to be an interesting discussion. And the question I want to stay on the forefront of your mind is, are YouTube imams, but indeed imams in general, do they give bad marriage advice? And if the answer is yes, and we will be making the case as we go along, I will say to you this: it's not from bad intention, it's not from bad motive. But as you guys know from the episode with our dear brother Mufti Mank just over a year ago, imams can oftentimes, from a good place, give bad advice, especially with regards to relationships and marriage. Just because you are an imam or you're a local sheikh, there is a distinction in my mind between, your local everyday sheikh and then an actual alim, like a proper alim. Yeah, I'm not talking about your everyday student of knowledge. They're basically students of knowledge. An alim is different. An alim, we expect him to know, to have it on lock, how to deal with the relationship properly, marriage, and so on and so forth. But your everyday imam and so on, it's a different story. And if you guys remember the episode with Mufti Mank, in fact, you know what? I might as well just pull it up, bruv. Yeah, might as well just pull it up to refresh your memory, because this went viral when it came out. It was all ha ha, laugh, la di da, quite funny and all the rest of it. But the truth of the matter is, it's not really a laughing matter. And, Mufti Menk got his fair share of shade, shall we say, when he did actually release this. So let's do this real quick. Right, sorry about that. Wrong move. Let's do this. Right, I'm going to mute.
It's good for us. It's done out of love. I really wouldn't mind. I really wouldn't mind if my wife were to phone me now and tell me, move to the left. I'd move to the left, even if there's no place. Out of love, that's it. So what? If that makes her happy, it makes her happy. People might say this guy is a chicken. I don't mind being called a chicken. I'll even quack quack for you a little bit, so long as she's happy. MashaAllah. Yeah, if that's what makes your marriage, let it be.
Oh, it came off as a harmless joke at the time, right? And his final words were very telling, actually. If that's what makes your marriage happy, if that's what makes it work, then let it be. And it came off as a harmless joke. In that moment, the audience laughed, it sounded funny, but in light of all of the content that you are consuming on this side of the internet, you have come to realize how detrimental and even, we could say, dangerous this advice is. Dangerous. Dangerous, why? Because it is rooted in an underlying presumption. And that presumption is, if it makes her happy, then so be it. That's the presumption. So long as it makes her happy, so long as we can make her happy. What if I told you that it was a competency test? What if I told you she was testing you to see if you're an idiot? What if I told you that she wanted to see if you were idiot enough to quack or move left or right on the sofa when she called you and told you to do it, just to have a laugh at your expense, and maybe a laugh with her mates as well, because this is what many women do. Competency testing. And there is actually a very real benefit to competency tests. I know men, we don't like this. Why does she have to test me for? What's this testing business? And it can get very annoying, especially if you are with a woman who is prone to repeatedly competency test you. All right. But there is a benefit to competency testing. And that benefit is as follows. The woman looks at the man and she says to herself, I am going to throw this test out there to see if you will stand up for yourself. And the reason why I want to see if you will stand up for yourself is because I will know if you have the backbone to say no to me, if you have the minerals to straighten me out and put me in place when I know damn well I'm being silly. If you can do that with me, it means when the time comes for you to defend me, if that time comes, you will defend me. And women do this innately from young, bruv, from young. It's like hard. I've seen it in my own girls. It's hardwired into them. They do it from young. They can't help themselves. It's like a survival mechanism. She just wants to know, she just wants to see if you have the minerals to stand up for yourself. That's it. And that's why I say that our brother Mufti Menk here, he made a mistake, because his message was rooted in a false belief. That false belief being, so long as it makes her happy, no problem. Let it fly. It's okay. So long as it makes her happy, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's not a problem. In fact, if it makes her happy, this is good. This is what we want. And this is not true. This is not true. Oftentimes, you trying to make her happy or running from pillar to post to make her as happy as you possibly can only serves to annoy her, because she was testing you. Now, guys, please temper What I am sharing with you with a bit of logic and common sense. I'm not telling you to be a nasty person to your wife and to oppress your wife and that she needs to be miserable around you and you should never want to make her happy. Come on, please. Don't be silly with this type of information. I am simply saying you as a man need to be able to distinguish, to be able to forage out when the time is appropriate for you to do something nice to make your wife happy, and when the time is inappropriate, when she may well be competency testing you, when she's testing you just to see, do you have the minerals, do you have the backbone to stand up for yourself when I'm being silly? You need to be able to tell the difference, and this comes with experience. It comes with experience. Okay, so the first video we're going to get into today is a video that somebody sent me on Instagram. Now, the brother Uthman, the brother who wears the shamar, you'll understand what shamar is in a minute. He's in the background of this video, but from what I can tell, the other gentleman, his name is Karim Abu Zaid, whom I've never heard of. I don't know if he's a sheikh. I don't know nothing at all. I don't know anything about this brother. However, there's a couple of things that concerned me, both in the questioner and the type of question that was asked, but worse than that, in the answer that was given. So we're going to go through this, charlatan, because yeah, as soon as you see the title, you're going to understand. It's a bit mad, bruv. So the title is, let me change this so you can see it better. There we go. My wife is calling her ex-boyfriend. How to confront. That's the title. Okay? My wife is calling her ex-boyfriend how to confront. And in fact, right now in the comments, right now, I want you to let me know and be tempered in your response. If this was you, if you just found out that your wife is calling her ex, whether it's ex-husband or ex-boyfriend, number one, how would you feel? And then number two, what would you do? What would be your next course, your recourse? What would be the next steps, the next actions that you would take? Let me know in the comments right now. I want, and try and don't put some next emotional crap in there. Yeah, try and be tempered. And also to add to that, in fact, what message or what hidden message are you taking? Do you understand from this that your wife is calling her ex? What's the hidden message here? If you have consumed my content for any meaningful period of time, I expect you to be able to know the answer to this. I expect you to be able to know the answer. We're going to go through it anyway. I can already see the chat going mad. Divorce. Man said slap. Okay, I don't want to. Man, don't want to get censored out here, man, if you get me. But yeah. All right, let's get into this.
Are you testing or asking a question?
No, I have a question, right? So I don't really want to give my name.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead and ask your
basically,
question if you don't want to give your name. Go ahead.
Right. So basically, right, last couple of weeks and stuff, my wife's been a little bit weird with me. Now, obviously, the other day, she gave me a phone, and she gave it to me, obviously, with her own, permission, and to try call someone. When I was.
So the first point I want you to notice what he said first. The first thing he said was, the past few weeks, my wife has been weird with me. Now, the thing about infidelity, cheating in general, whether it involves the physical act or whether it's simply just discussion, but it's still cheating, emotional cheating or whatever you want to call it. The thing about infidelity is that you can usually tell long before you find out. You knew long before the facts were actually revealed that something was going on with your partner, whether it's husband or wife. But you chose, for some reason or other, to ignore the signs. You chose to ignore them. But the signs were there. And usually people choose to ignore them because we don't want to confront this reality. It's a horrible, ugly reality. My spouse is cheating on me. And it's not a nice reality to face, regardless of whether it's the woman or the man for that matter. And I'm talking with regards to the man, now I'm talking about if he's doing it in haram. Obviously, if he's looking for another wife, whatever. But women can even tell on that. Either they can tell, they usually can tell when a man is looking for another wife, she can sense something is different. She doesn't quite know what it is, but something is different. She can sense it. She's got her finger on that pulse. And I would even say, in fact, women are better at sniffing this stuff out than men are. Number one, because men are sloppy, they don't cover their tracks as well. And number two, because women are just better in social settings. They pick up social cues better than men do. They are more socially adept. But regardless, focus on that key point. She's been a bit off. She's been a bit funny. I can sense something is off. Let's continue.
Trying to call someone in her call logs. She'd obviously called her ex, and I just want to know what steps should I take with this one.
Sheikh Othman.
So when you say she called her ex, was this somebody she was married to, or was this like somebody she was dating? Like what was going on?
It was someone that she was dating previously.
And you guys are married today?
Yes.
So I mean, you weren't spying on her. Obviously, she gave you her phone. As a husband and wife, you need to have communication. You should ask her, just you handed me the phone to do X, Y, and Z, and I saw this, and is there something we need to talk about?
I tried to.
Okay. Now, we're going to continue this video, but that answer is enough. The answer is enough from our brother Uthman for me to know that this is bad marriage advice. This is bad relationship advice. Why? And I don't blame the brother, because he's being asked. He's been asked the question, and when you are asked for advice, it's actually the right of the Muslim. The right of the Muslim upon the other Muslim is 6. One of them is that when he asks for advice, you have to give him. So it is what it is. Okay? But the reason why I say it is bad advice is because it is rooted in a flawed way of thinking. And that flawed thinking is, if I simply ask her, is there something we need to talk about? That she's going to be honest and tell me, you know what, Habibi? Yes, actually, I've really not been feeling this marriage with you. And I was thinking about my ex and how much of a good time we had, especially that we were in haram as well. So the emotions were even more wild, up and down, left and right. And I was thinking how unfulfilled and unsatisfied I am with you, and how I really miss and yearn my ex. That's why I called him. Really? Really? Let's continue.
I tried to basically ask her herself. I was like, is there something that you want to talk to me about? So on and so forth. Nothing was coming out. I did.
I mean, what did she say? Did she admit to you that she called her ex?
That's nothing.
So the brother did the natural thing. I asked her, is there anything that we need to talk about? Again, fruitless, useless question. What do you expect her to say? Well, I just said just now, obviously not. And of course, she gave the natural response. No, nothing came out. There's nothing. It's nothing. What do you expect her to say?
So obviously I asked, it can't be nothing if you're calling an ex like that. And obviously she was just like, look.
That's not on my end, by the way. The issue with the recording, that's in the video itself.
I don't know what I should do next, because I'm a little bit annoyed right now.
Understandably, but I mean, when you spoke to her, explain what the issue was that she's upset about. I mean, is it something serious? Is it some? Sorry.
Nothing. I don't know. I'm trying to do the best way that I can, and I don't know what happened. So
Okay.
it's only just, you know, if you had an argument or a fight or something like that, I'd think to myself, or I'd say, yeah, I can understand that, you know what, someone, you know, gets angry and upset and does that, but there's nothing. That's the thing.
So, I mean, do you have children? Do you have family, parents?
No,
involved?
I've got my
Okay, so I mean, maybe you can involve some elders in the community to sit down and say, you know, this is not acceptable for me, for my wife to be calling an ex-boyfriend, right? And if there's an issue, she needs to be able to communicate and talk it out, right?
right.
What
Did you hear his response? Right. Did you hear the reluctancy and the hesitancy in his response? Look, if your woman is at a point, and again, at this point, the facts have not been uncovered. The facts have not been uncovered. We can't make outright accusations and assumptions, okay? Because we don't know. But the telltale signs are there, and as the saying goes, there's no smoke without fire. To involve the elders and so on, what do you expect the woman to say? What do you expect her to say? First and foremost, she's going to deny it to high hell, unless you are able to bring some type of unequivocal proof that shows, without there being any doubt that this woman, she's committed a heinous crime, you know, stepped out on her husband and so on. Then she's cornered. Aside from that, nothing's going to come out. Nothing is going to come out. Nothing is going to come out. And I will tell you how I would have responded to this, brother. But before I do, going back to the initial question, which was, are YouTube Imams, and this doesn't sound very good, YouTube Imam, I didn't know how else to put it, to be honest with you. They're Imams, but you know, the term Sheikh, and especially for me, this term Sheikh, you use it on two occasions. You use it either as a term of respect for an elderly gentleman, or you use it to address a Sheikh. When I say Sheikh, I'm talking about Sheikh, big Sheikh. You understand? Alam, like that. Anyway, regardless, let's change this question. Let's change the frame of this question. If you are a student of knowledge, you are studying the religion, you're learning the religion. Let's change the question from, are you now by default, because you have studied the religion, you know about the religion, does this by default make you an authority on marriage or relationships in general? Let's change it from that to, if you study the religion, you're a student of knowledge, you're a senior student of knowledge, as I would classify these brothers. I don't know about the elderly gentleman on the right. I know nothing about him, so I can't speak for him. Okay, but we can say that our brother Uthman, you know, student of knowledge, maybe senior, even senior student of knowledge. Does that make you by default an expert in female psychology? Do you see how by changing the frame, we can look at the question from a different angle? Because this is exactly what it comes down to. Female psychology. Understanding how and why the mind of a woman works the way it does. Understanding, based upon the information we have, these actions that she has taken, we know, based upon the psychology of a woman, why she is doing this. And there can be any number of reasons as to why she is in contact with her ex, but we have immediately ruled out the possibility of her calling him up because she just realized that, I don't know, bruv, she left her necklace there, and she just realized 2 years later that she left her gold necklace there and she'd like to pick it up. Because why? Because she denied it. If that was the case, if there was a genuine reason as to why she was caught, she would have simply said, listen, man, it was my necklace, it was my ex had my mum's diary, I don't know, bruv. She would have said that. She simply denied it, which is an indication that she's hiding something. She denied it, which tells us that she's hiding something. Now, I know a lot of you guys in the chat might be feeling like, oh, how could she, and so on and so forth. Yes, okay, how could she? But we don't know what's going on in their marriage. We don't know if there is some type of sexual dissatisfaction. We don't know if she's been alpha widowed, if she's still hung up on her ex, if the experience she has with her current husband is deficient and inadequate in comparison to the experience she had with her ex-boyfriend. And remember, it wasn't an ex-husband, it was an ex-boyfriend. Because if any of those factors are in play here, then trust and believe that her ex-boyfriend is going to be living in her mind rent-free. And you can understand, to the sisters watching, when brothers hear videos like this or conversations like this, why men have such an urge or such a strong desire towards virgin, chaste women who have never been in a relationship before. You can understand why. Because women are more affected by relationships, particularly relationships that come to an end, intimate relationships that come to an end, than men are. Far more affected. They are far more negatively affected by these types of relationships. Let's continue.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can. Is it okay for me to go to my local masjid?
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's good. Talk to your local imam.
The muftis and stuff over there, and maybe just see if we can get to a conclusion. We can sit down.
As long as your local masjid is on the Quran and Sunnah, you go to the local imam and you can deal with the situation.
Again, okay. Remember the question. Remember the question or the point that I made out earlier, which was, let's change the lens. The brother Uthman here, he said, so long as the masjid are upon the Quran and Sunnah, go to them and seek advice. And whilst I agree that an imam in a masjid who's on the Quran and Sunnah can give you this basic advice, my question to you would be, is he an expert in understanding female psychology, the mind of the woman, her mind, why she does things the way she does? Is he an expert on that? Does he understand that? Does he understand why women are the way they are, why they do what they do? If he is, Bismillah, mashallah, go for it. So much the better, in fact, because he has a rare gift now of being able to combine religious knowledge with knowledge of female psychology. So much the better. This is, in fact, the best case scenario. This is the best case scenario. But if he is just your local imam, your everyday local imam at the local masjid, he's going to give you generic advice, basic generic advice that a lot of the time is not actionable. It's not actionable. Sit down, openly communicate. What's the difference between open communication, between hearing that from an imam and hearing that from Steve Harvey? What's the difference? It's the same thing. I would even say that this narrative is something that we have absorbed from the West. This business of, let's communicate openly. Let's talk about it. Let me talk with my wife why she doesn't desire me. We should communicate. We should talk. Maybe if we talk about it, I can get to the bottom of why my wife doesn't enjoy sleeping with me. When desire, in this instance that I'm using here, cannot be negotiated. Zero, none, nada. It's innate. It's a feeling. For you, she feels nothing. But for next guy, she feels something. Why? Why is that? Why is that? Why does she make excuses for you? But the thought of another man, or indeed in some instances when women do deny their own husbands, but at the same time step out on their husbands with another man, why is that? And can we solve this through open communication? The other guy that she stepped out with didn't need to openly communicate nothing. He got it anyway. And he weren't even paying the bills. He's just some next guy that she's cheating with. Why? The only way you are going to be able to answer that question is if you have a thorough understanding of female psychology, why their minds work the way they do. And there are a lot of unsavory truths / realities with regards to the female mind in this regard. Call it red pill, call it whatever you want to call it. And on that note, by the way, this whole red pill business. First of all, I didn't even want to use red pill in the hashtags of my social media stuff anymore, because, and I said to my team, I said to them, look, people are getting the wrong end of the stick with this red pill stuff. They think it's some type of ideology bordering on a religion. They don't understand that it's just an understanding of female psychology, peeling back the onion layer and literally lifting up the hood of the engine to see how the engine works. They think it's like a movement of some sort. So I don't want to use these hashtags anymore because I'm getting mixed up in this understanding. And they said to me, and I agreed with them, they said, yeah, but Mahdi, your audience, a lot of your audience are consuming that type of content. Therefore, by extension, if you want to be able to pull them over, particularly the Muslims, you want to pull them over to be able to consume that type of content, but with an Islamic lens, then you're going to need to use those hashtags, bro. So suck it up, big man. It is what it is. That's the game. So that's why I use the hashtags in my social media stuff. Aside from that, I don't really like using those hashtags, red pill this and red pill that, because people, the moment they hear red pill, their brains switch off. Red pill haram, straight away. I got one question for you. What is red pill? Billahi, please tell me. If I asked you what is Islam, you'd be able to tell me. If I asked you what is science, you'd be able to tell me. If I asked you what is Christianity, you would be able to tell me. I am asking you now, what is red pill? Because at this point, not even I can answer it, bruv. Even I am at a loss. But you know what red pill is? Red pill is anything I disagree with that makes me feel a certain type of way because I don't like what I'm hearing. Red pill. Ala tol, straight away. And he said, what? He's red pill. In fact, it's an excuse for people to switch their brains off. He said, what? Oh, well, he's that red pill guy. That's why he said that. Let's not try to understand or try to expend brain calories in understanding. He's the red pill guy. It doesn't matter, you know. It's that ideology, that religion. At this point, brother, I don't even know what red pill is. All right. Shout out to Kruger Breaks and Rips. Thank you for the $10 super chat, my man. I appreciate you. Your videos have helped me. Jazakallahu khairan, brother Mahdi. I'm happy to hear this, Kruger. I'm Italiano and was raised Catholic. Shout out to you. A new convert. I'm a new convert. Just said my shahada on January 26, 2023. Best day of my life. Allahu Akbar. My guy. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you. Kruger Breaks and Rips. MashaAllah. I'm so happy to hear this. Alhamdulillah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All right, let's continue. Let's get back into the video and finish it off real quick.
Use wisdom, brother. Use wisdom, inshallah. Wisdom, you know, don't jump into conclusions. Maybe she was just discussing something from the past. And explain to her, place some boundaries that future-wise, please, we can't tolerate that. I don't feel comfortable with that. And hopefully this will rectify the situation. Jazakallah khairan.
I don't think so. I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. With the greatest of respect to, what's the brother's name? Let me see now. Hold on a second. The brother's name is, what's the name of his channel? Kareem Abu Zaid. With the greatest of respect to our brother Kareem Abu Zaid, this is not going to work. And you know, I think the brother Kareem, it sounds that he's Arab. He sounds Arab from his accent. To the uncle, in fact, you know what? Let me call him uncle. It's better, more term of respect because he's much older than me. So to our uncle Kareem Abu Zaid here, he sounds like he's got Arab accent. Come on, uncle. Come on, uncle. No way, uncle. No way. No, come on. What are you talking about, uncle? Would that be you? Would you sit down, mashallah, and openly communicate with your wife? And wife, you know, I know you wanted to have a word with your ex-boyfriend, but that really upset me, and you know, please don't do it again. That will make me very happy. Uncle, I don't believe this. I don't believe this, especially like I said, he sounds Arab, he's got hot blood. I don't believe this for 1 second, uncle. He's gonna be like, shut the door on your way out, woman. And that's why I say that just because you might be well versed, learned in the religion, it doesn't make you an expert on female psychology. You see, when we change the frame, when you change the frame from marriage, which is a more general term, which is very much integrated into the religion of Islam, to female psychology, and this is something very specific, far more specific. Are you an expert on female psychology just because you might be an expert in the religion? Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. Okay, right. I actually want to show you real quick the comments. Exit full screen. I want to show you the comments. Let me change this because the comments echo this exact same sentiment that I've just shared with you. Have a look at this, okay? So Mo here, he says, Akhi, be the man, set boundaries. You guys can see that, right? It is not acceptable to call an ex, barakallah fiqh. Thank you, brother Mo. Boyfriend especially, whether you have an argument, issue or not. Make it clear it is something you do not accept. This is something to be shying away, especially if she is not reciprocating. You must be direct with wisdom and set boundaries. May Allah help your situation. There's another comment here. Here we go. Palestinian Muslim. He said, to be honest, the Sheikh's response was too soft. There is absolutely no reason why a woman in a Muslim marriage, I'd say in any marriage, to be honest with you, but yes, especially as Muslims, with her husband should feel the need to call an ex-boyfriend. He mentioned, he's talking about the caller now, he mentioned that she's been acting weird. He picked up on it for the past few weeks. This should raise even more eyebrows as to what she is possibly up to. For me, this is absolutely intolerable and grounds for immediate divorce. Now, this is why I said we have to be careful here. This is why I said you want to establish. Did you leave a gold chain there? Did you leave your mum's bank card there? Something, yani. What's going on? If she didn't come out, no, I'm just, and the truth of the matter is, if she did genuinely have something that she needed to pick up from him, she would have told her husband first, just out of respect, because it's such a touchy topic. It's such a touchy topic. Getting back in with your ex, she would have absolutely told him. If there was a genuine pressing need, she would have told him, but she kept it from him. Now, I'm not saying he should divorce her on the spot or not divorce her, especially if he sees this video. I need more context. If that caller was you and you're seeing this right now, email me, bro. You can book yourself in and we'll have a discussion. This needs more detail. But for sure, there are more red flags here than a Chinese communist parade, rude boy. You understand? Shout out to Rich Cooper for that one. Bruv. Okay. That's that. Now, first of all, we've got how many before we continue this? We have 256 of you in here, and we have 57 likes. Completely unacceptable. We need to get this engagement to 60%. So what we're going to do right now is I want you to like the video and then put it in the chat that you've liked the video, and I'm going to pull your comment up on screen. Thank you, Sister Sarah. Even Sister Sarah recognized it. Just 52 likes, more likes, and 100 roses. Shout out to you, Sister Sarah. Barakallahu feek. Yallah, like that video. Yes, El Patron, like the damn video, my guy. Appreciate it. No, we haven't done. I haven't responded to Sajid Abu Muawiyah. That one's coming next. Like the video, boys. Get me. Goku said I hit like. Excellent. Timing is everything. Liked, my guy. Good. Liked. By the way, fave. Oh, bruv. Come on, man. I don't do that stuff, rude boy. But thank you for liking the video, bruv. Abu Muawiyah, appreciate it. Liked. Chad, appreciate it. Alfredo, liked. Prince Vegeta said he's not liking it. Don't like the video then, bruv. Yeah, how about that? Okay, what we looking like? Get it? What we looking like? 107. Alfredo, that's not good enough. Get those likes up. Get the likes moving. Come on. Well, G said, kill the like button. Yes, kill it. Well, now, whilst I pull up the next video we're going to be reacting to, I want to see more likes. Yeah, it helps with the algorithm. If you're enjoying what you're watching today, trust and believe there's going to be somebody else who needs this more than you. Trust me when I say that. And the next video is the one that you guys, many of you have sent me to react to. So, brother Sajid Lipham. Now, let me just put a disclaimer on this, okay? Whilst you guys are liking the video, don't forget. I know nothing about brother Sajid or his content except this one video. And the first time that I actually came across him was during his feud, his online beef with our beloved brother Daniel Haqiqatu, which I also know nothing about because I didn't actually watch any of the videos. So I don't know anything about brother Sajid's content, and I don't know anything about the beef that he had with brother Daniel, other than Daniel's my boy. So Team Daniel, bruv, you get me? Nah, I'm joking. We're all Muslims here. And you know, it came off a bit. I didn't consume the content, but it came off a bit. I don't know, wallah, and I don't know, bruv, to be honest with you. So I'm putting that disclaimer out there because this is not an attack on brother Sajid. Okay, this is simply a response to the video that he made, which I feel perhaps we need some how can I say, shine a different light on a different angle. All right, let's do that. Let's get going, baby. Let's get going. Let's mute this.
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome all viewers. In my previous two videos, we were discussing how the red pill ideology has been having a major effect on a lot of the Muslims on social media. While we can
So again, I haven't seen the previous two videos. I don't know what previous two videos he's talking about, to be honest with you. But the first question I would ask our brother Sajid is, okay, red pill is an ideology. What's the ideology? What's the definition, Sajid? Yani, what is the red pill ideology? Because I don't know. And apparently I am a proponent of the red pill, apparently. So I would like to know what that is. What is the ideology?
can acknowledge that there are certain aspects of red pill that were needed, that were beneficial. We also need to acknowledge the fact that Muslims are not in need of red pill or any of these outside ideologies.
Okay. On the one hand, in fact, you know what? I want you to listen to that again. Just listen to it yourself.
There are certain aspects of red pill that were needed, that were beneficial. We also need to acknowledge the fact that Muslims are not in need of red pill or any of these outside ideologies.
So how do we balance or reconcile these two different points, which is on the one hand, red pill stuff, whatever that means, because at this point I don't even know, has been beneficial. But then on the other hand, we don't need it because we have Islam. Then how do we reconcile the two? Either it's beneficial or it's not. Either it was good and we needed it, or we didn't. Let's continue.
And we should also warn against these extremes that we are now seeing brothers go to. In this specific video, I want to bring attention to something that I am going to label the red pill paradox. And the reason I want to call it that is because the Muslims who try to integrate red pill into their deen, they are going to approach this ideology from the perspective of marriage. So a major topic of discussion regarding these brothers is marriage, and specifically what types of women men want to marry. And there are three main things I want to mention today that I have seen some of these da'wah entertainers pushing when it comes to marriage. Number one, there seems to be this obsession with emphasizing the fact that a woman who has never been touched, a woman who has never been with a man, is more desirable than one who has. There have been so many videos being.
Yes. Yes. Is there something incorrect about that? Women who are untouched, virgin, are more desirable than women who have been in previous marriages or previous sexual relations? Yes, that's right. It's so much so, in fact, that there is a specific reference to the chaste virgins that a man will have in Jannah. In fact, on top of that, and I'm going to get a little bit graphic here, but her hymen, which is the thing that breaks upon intimacy, it reseals over and over and over and over ad infinity, ad infinitum, forever. That's how much of an obsession that men have with chaste, untouched women. Yes. Not to say that a man cannot marry a woman who's been married before. Fine, no problem. But yes, there is an obsession with it. Absolutely. To the point that it is something that has been quite clearly detailed in terms of the reward a man will have in Jannah. Yes. Yes.
Posted recently where this is the topic of discussion, going on the streets, interacting with people, sitting on couches, having discussions with men and women, free mixing, discussing these sorts of very intimate things that you would think are really not appropriate.
Okay, so what the brother's referring to now is Ali Dawa's podcast. And you know, at this point, yeah, brother Sajid, look, Ali Dawa, and shout out to Ali Dawa, I was just on his podcast a couple of weeks ago. He has nearly 1 million subscribers on YouTube. There's no point in, I understand when a YouTube is really small, this used to happen to me all the time. People would make videos about me, but they wouldn't say my name because they didn't want me to get that. They didn't want their audience to search up my name and by extension get more traction on my own videos, right? I get it when the content creator is small, but he's annoying. So you want to like call him out without calling him out. Brother Serge, he's got 1 million. Just say his name, bro. Just say his name. He's got 5 times the size of your following. Everyone knows it's him. Just say it. And there's no point in hiding. Who else in the Muslim community is doing that anyways? It's just him. It's only Ali. It's only Ali Dawa who's actually running a podcast like that. It's silly. Just say his name, man. Stuff annoys me, man. Anyway, let's continue. And it's funny, actually, he mentioned it's free mixing. Ali Dawa addresses this in one of the podcasts that I did with him with regards to this. I'll let that, I don't want to give a spoiler. I'll let that come out when it does. In fact, before I replay the video, just before I lose this chat here, right here, Mo307, brothers without real life experience of women, halal or haram, shouldn't give advice, to be honest. There is a lot of truth in this, bro. It's like a driving instructor trying to teach you how to drive when he himself has never driven, just because he's read books on it. Now, let's be careful here. Just because you've been married or you have experience, it still doesn't make you an authority. It still doesn't make you an authority on the discussion of marriage and how to get the best out of your woman and so on. But men who you could say are an authority on the discussion are men who have had intimate relationships, not just casual encounters, but long-term relationships with multiple women successfully. They know how to run game with multiple women successfully. And I can think of no one better, to be honest with you, in the Muslim sphere, if you like, than our beloved brother, AbuAmerican. Yeah, there's, AbuAmerican, he's massively, massively underrated. I wish his channel would get more traction. Massively underrated. There are certain things that AbuAmerican says that the layman, he won't quite get it straight away. It's like it's cream. It's the cream of his experiences. I appreciate that cream. I appreciate that the cream of his wisdom, if you like. He's got over 1,400 videos on his channel. If you're not following him, please follow him. Go to type AbuAmerican right now. Make sure you're subscribed to his channel. He's somebody who has intimate experience with many different women on long-term relationships and successfully as well. Successful long-term relationships with many different women. He has multiple wives at this moment in time, as we speak, and they are, mashallah, living happily together. Someone like that, and he viscerally understands why he is able to get the best out of his woman, or his women for that matter, that's someone who you can call an authority in this space. I would not equate or try to bring myself anywhere near to the level of AbuAmerican in terms of his experience and his knowledge and his understanding and how he has ingested or digested what he has learned and is able to teach it again. I wouldn't bring myself anywhere near him, but I also, alhamdulillah, have many years of experience of dealing with multiple women as well. I wouldn't say I'm on the level of AbuAmerican, not at all. He's 20 years my senior, but I get it. I know how to get the best out of them. I get the best out of my wives now. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And you will find that men who are used to dealing with many women, they are better equipped at helping you understand the psychology of women than men who are not used to that or don't have that type of experience. Why? Because they're playing the game on a harder level. They are playing the game on a harder level. Let's continue.
For Muslims involved in what they call da'wah, but this is something we're clearly seeing. There's this emphasis that men prefer a woman who has never been with a man before. The second thing that I keep seeing emphasized is that men want a younger woman. Some of the language we've seen is women age like milk, more specifically, somebody who's very outwardly a proponent of red pill ideology, saying that that's even being too nice, that women age worse than milk. So these sorts of entertainers.
I wonder I wonder who he's referring to. I don't know. It sounds like that Mahdi guy. What do you guys think? It sounds like that, man. I'm not too sure though. It sounds like him. It sounds like a video response that he made to the Sunnah guy when the Sunnah guy done the whole milk wine thing. And then that Mahdi guy, he done a response video and it was like, it's not milk, it's squirty cream. I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't want to backbite that Mahdi guy. It might not be him.
In the name of da'wah really want to emphasize the fact that women, they should marry young because that is when they are most desirable. And the third thing that is being promoted by some of these Muslim entertainers in the name of da'wah is the idea that women should not be educated. Now, here's where the paradox comes into play. Let's say that a woman agrees.
Okay, this is completely incorrect to say that a woman should be uneducated. And by the way, what are we defining as uneducated? What's the premise here? What's the premise? And this is a very important question. If the premise of educated is going to university and getting a degree, then I would take issue with that premise. I absolutely believe that women should be educated. Absolutely 100%. She is the first school that the children go to. The mother, your wife, she should be educated. But if your definition of education is the secular education, the cesspit, the feminist cesspit that we now call the liberalist feminist cesspit that we call university, then I will take issue with you there. Absolutely. If that is what we are defining as education. In fact, I would call it miseducation.
To all three of these things. That she agrees to get married having never been with a man before. She's young and she's not educated. A concern that she is going to have, and a concern that her wali, her male guardian, is going to have is, well, what is she going to do if the marriage doesn't work out? What is she going to do if you two get divorced? Because those three things that made her so desirable in the first place are now, once she's divorced, going to work against her. Because number one, now she has a body count. She's been with someone before. Number two, she's aged. She's older now. And number three, the fact that she's uneducated, doesn't work, never worked, doesn't have a career, she's left with no way to support herself. And this is why I call this the red pill paradox, because although brothers are pushing this, trying to encourage women to get married, actually it can have the opposite effect. And it's really important.
Okay, I wanted to let the brother finish that point before I give my response to this. This is old, yeah, and with the greatest of respect to our brother Sajid, and he is our brother, so please keep the chat respectful, okay? I'm sure he's going to see clips of this afterwards. Keep the chat respectful. Brother Sajid, this is old discussion. Yani, I could have answered that for you offline. I could have given you the response to that. You could have asked me in private, and I go, Mahdi, you know, what if women don't get educated and she gets married and she gets divorced? You know, isn't that a problem? I could have answered this so simply for you and saved you having to respond online to this, because this is very simple to respond to. It's actually a little bit like, come on, bro, this is old. And the response to this is as follows. Number one, this is fear mongering. The fear mongering is But what if she gets divorced? What if she gets divorced? Then what's she gonna do? Okay, let's go with this premise. What if she gets divorced? Did you know that 70 to 80% of all divorces are initiated by who? Aliens? Cats? Lizards, maybe? Women. 70 to 80% of all divorces in the West are initiated by women. Lo and behold, this statistic rises to 90% when what? When what? What do you think? What do you think? That statistic of women divorcing men rises to 90% if she is college educated. For my UK mandem, that means if she is university educated. The likelihood of her initiating divorce goes up to 90% if she went to university. I could have shared that with you privately, my brother. I could have told you that privately without having to do this all online. And so I would say to you that if she goes to university, she is more likely to get divorced in the first place. Now, is there a possibility that if she doesn't go to university and she is not quote unquote educated, and I don't even like this term because some of the most smart brothers that I know, street smart and smart up here, didn't go to university. Andrew Tate didn't go to university. Yeah, mashallah, he needs no one to. The brother didn't go to university. Tate did not go to university. Okay. Now there is merit in university. I will say there is some merit. However, now I feel like that merit is all lost. And the merit I'm referring to is the ability to apply yourself at a difficult task, at a difficult subject for a prolonged period of time. It shows a level of consistency, dedication, and so on. That's the merit that I'm referring to. But there's so much garbage in there now that I think the harm far outweighs the benefit. Regardless, there is a possibility, yes, that if she goes to university, that if she doesn't go to university, and she gets married, she could get divorced. And that's going to be a sorry situation, and that's going to be difficult to deal with, for sure. But guess what, my bro? If she does go to university, she's more likely to get divorced in the first place. So logic would tell us that the safer route is for her to simply get married while she's young and not go to university, because the odds of this event happening, this divorce event happening, increase when she goes to uni. And this is something that we would not have known a few decades ago. In fact, maybe I would have been a proponent. Maybe me, Mahdi, I would have been a proponent of girls going to university 30, 40 years ago. Maybe I would have, because it sounds logical. Think about it. It's logical. It's like, you know what? My daughter, she needs to go to university just in case she gets divorced. She needs to be able to fend for herself. That sounds logical to me. It sounds quite logical. And most people would have bought into that. Logical. But the scores are in. The results are in. And the scorecard tells us women who are college educated initiate divorce at a 90% rate. 90%. And if you were to ask me, why do they do this? Well, I would simply say, as you know, the more educated a woman becomes, well, firstly and foremostly, the more educated a woman becomes, the less likely she is to marry in the first place. This is a stat I took direct from the Jordan Peterson podcast. I'll say it again. The more educated she becomes, the less likely she will ever marry. Why? Because women are hypergamous, that boring H word. She wants to marry her across and up. Women marry across and up dominance hierarchies. The higher up the hierarchy she goes, the smaller and fewer choice pool of men there is for her to choose from. That's why the more educated a woman becomes, the less likely it is she will ever marry. That's the reason. Okay, it's not because of some nefarious evil plan that's going on of educated women. Oh, the more I'm more educated now, I don't want to get married. No, it's not that. It's because she just simply has less prospects to choose from. It's like shooting herself in the foot. So there's that. But on a smaller, on a lower level, on a more simpler level, just the general graduate level, the more educated she becomes, the higher up the career path she goes, the more she looks at her husband and thinks, I could have done better than you. Her expectations go up. She expects more. Her baseline is higher. Key word here. You want your woman to appreciate you, right? You want her to appreciate what you're able to bring to her. Well, guess what? It's going to be more difficult for a woman who is more educated and then by extension earns more. She's more educated. She probably earns more to be able to appreciate you. And if she doesn't appreciate you, she's going to be looking at you with a side eye and thinking to herself, I could have done better than you. I'm pretty sure of it. Whereas if you are with a woman who is not university educated, okay, we still want our women educated religiously, but this university educated, she's not university educated, she will be more appreciative of her husband by default because her expectations are lower in the first place. Now we have to temper this argument, and I've said this in the past with, remember guys, it's a very idealistic thing to say, oh, I want my woman to be at home and I will work and provide for her while she's a stay-at-home wife. Whilst I am with you and agree with you, just remember, for most Muslim men in the West, this is not reality. Most Muslim men who live in the West, particularly capital cities, cannot afford to run a home on their own. It's simply not a reality. It's not realistic. Most households require 2 household incomes. So it's gonna take time before we can turn the ship, before we can get back to how it was just 60, 70 years ago, when one income was more than enough to take care of a family. More than enough. It's gonna take time to get back to that. So just remember that. Temper what you have heard on the one hand here with the reality we face on the other hand here. Very important before you go and shoot yourself in the foot. Akeem Mujahid, shout out to you, my man. I really Habibi, very, very generous super chat. Thank you for the €50 super chat, my man. Akeem Mujahid says, I am integrating my knowledge for fitness using weapons into my deen. That would be ridiculous. All of a sudden, it's an issue if brothers... Okay. Am I integrating my knowledge for fitness using weapons into my deen? That would be ridiculous. All of a sudden, I get you. I get you. Very nice. All of a sudden, it's an issue if brothers learn female/male behavior. It's called praxology. No Muslim brother in this sphere is condoning dating. Barakallahu fiqh, akhi Akeem. You know what I've realized at this point, Akeem, is those who get it, and those who don't. And this is why I wanted to avoid the whole red pill hashtags in my social media stuff in the first place. But my team said to me, nope, you're going to need to do that so that you can attract your Muslim audience who are watching red pill stuff on non-Muslim channels. So it is what it is. Suck it up and deal with it, son. And I agree with them, by the way. But we're getting to the point where we don't even know what red pill is anymore. Red pill, bruv, what is it? I don't know, bruv. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't define it. Apparently, everything Mahdi says is red pill. MashaAllah. Well, where did I study this red pill stuff? Who was my my teacher? Yani? My red pill teacher. Who is he? And I studied under him. Everything I say is red pill. So I want an answer to that, by the way. What is red pill? I wish I could ask it live because now I've given my detractors time to go away and think about it.
To internalize the fact that this can occur due to reasons outside of feminism. Many brothers will act like feminism is the only explanation, that women are pursuing education and careers and delaying marriage simply because they're feminists. Yes, there definitely are some that do, but it's very dismissive and ignorant to assume that that's always the case. When brothers are constantly diminishing the value of a woman who has been married, that do, and like feminism is the only explanation, that women are pursuing education and careers and delaying marriage simply because they're feminists. Yes, there definitely are some that do, but it's very dismissive and ignorant to assume that that's always the case. When brothers are
We're not saying it's always the case. We're saying it's usually the case. And this is where the discussion now becomes on a bounce of probabilities, Brother Sajid. On a balance of probabilities, typically, usually, she's delaying marriage because she has bought into this feminist ideology. She has bought into this be an independent woman notion, which, by the way, only makes women miserable, absolutely miserable in the long run. And the fruits of this are starting to show themselves. The women are starting to speak, the older women, the women in their 50s, 60s and beyond, they're starting to talk about this and be honest and just be frank about the fact that they've been sold on a lie. But yes, usually this is the case. I don't know who this guy is, okay? But shout out to you for the €6 super chat. Men, it's in your best interest to be more educated than your woman. Doesn't have anything to do with degrees and certifications. I would agree with that. Just as a woman wants a man who is physically stronger than her, a woman wants a man who is physically taller than her, a woman wants a man who is more intelligent than her. Yes, she is looking for her superior. She wants to go up the dominance hierarchy. She doesn't want to feel like she's having to look after you. She wants to feel like you're looking after her. It's quite logical.
Constantly diminishing the value of a woman who has been married before, been with a man before, or a woman who is older. You might be trying to encourage women to marry young and not delay marriage, but you're also going to be diminishing their trust in you, that you're going to still care about them when they get older. And you could also be overemphasizing and encouraging brothers to act on these desires that they have for younger women. So taking all of this into consideration, there are many women.
So let's address that real quick. Will you be affecting her with a complex of some sort that when she grows older, you will not desire her? You know, I actually addressed this question on Pearl's podcast, Just Pearly Thing. Shout out to her. You know, there's a few clips that went viral from the podcast that I did with her. They're still going viral to this day. And one of the issues she said to me was, so then if your wife gets older, then are you going to be not unattracted to her anymore? Will you stop being attracted to her? And I answered her and I said to her, you know, when you marry a woman, she freezes in that moment in time from the day that you married her. Her beauty is captured at that moment in time and it's imprinted on your mind. And so long as you continue to remain with her during that marriage, that initial imprint of her image, of how you married her, it doesn't get warped. Such that even when if you're 70, 80, 90, you see those couples who, mashallah, they made it their whole life and they're still together, 70, 80, 90, and they're still looking so lovingly. They still desire each other. He's still doing the cheeky old little slap on the bum and so on. Why? He doesn't see an old woman. He sees that beautiful young woman that he married. That image is captured at that moment in time.
Along with their wali, who might think it's better for them to delay marriage for a little bit, but at least make sure that they have some sort of education. So if things don't work out in a marriage, they can take care of themselves. And that's not to even.
And this is where I have to refute our brother Sajid. I'm sorry. This is where I have to refute this. This keep an option open only encourages her to exercise that option. Do you understand this? If she thinks in her mind that there's a plan B, the moment she senses some type of distasteful feeling towards her husband, she will be more inclined to exercise plan B, exit plan. Whereas when there is no exit plan, well, there's no exit plan. She's less inclined towards going there. That's the first thing. The second thing is, as I have already mentioned, the more educated she becomes, the more likely she is to trigger divorce. More specifically, university, college educated, for my American brothers across the pond, college educated women, university educated women initiate divorce at a 90% rate. Usually it's 70 to 80%, 90% for university educated women. So whilst I do believe that these intentions are good intentions, and what Brother Sajid is saying is rooted in a good intention, which is, you know, she needs to, I get it. I may well have said the same thing if I was living 40 years ago, 50 years ago, before all of the data has come out. It sounds logical. It makes sense. She has a backup plan just in case. I get it. Makes sense. The results are in. And the results have clearly identified to us that if she has that, she is actually more likely to do the thing that you fear in the first place. That's the irony. Liban, shout out to you for the 59 NOK. I don't know what currency that is, but shout out to you, my man. Brother Sajid is siding more and more with the feminism ideology. It's really hard to watch him now. Well, I'll be honest with you, I can't comment on this because I haven't consumed his content. So it would be unfair for me to give a synopsis of whether he's siding or with the feminism ideology or not. I don't know. I only know this video. I can't answer that. But if you guys, if you watch him and you've watched his content over a meaningful period of time and you've seen some type of evolution of some sort, then feel free to comment in the chat. As for me, I don't know. I can't comment on that. Let's continue with the video.
Mention a lot of the rough and tough, completely insensitive behavior that a lot of brothers within this ideology are showing. And that's why I really want to emphasize to the viewers that a lot of the stuff these people are talking about and promoting, it's entertainment. People watch it because it's shocking or because they like seeing men and women sitting on the couch talking to each other about these controversial issues. Whereas it's not really foundationally based in Islam or knowledge or reality. So for example,
okay, before he gets to his example, firstly and foremostly, the brother has brought up the issue of entertainment quite a few times. You need to understand something about YouTube, okay? I want you guys, you who's watching me right now, you, I'm talking to you. You, sir, you, madam, you who is watching me whilst taking a dump on the toilet. Did you open up your phone whilst you're on the toilet to be educated by Mahdi Tijani, to really take your pen and paper out and be educated by me at this moment in time? Or did you open up your phone whilst you're sat on the toilet taking your dump? Don't lie to me. I know you're feeling uncomfortable now and you're going to switch off the video because you wanted to be edutained. See the difference? Nobody opens up YouTube. Nobody except out of the 1.5 billion people that use YouTube, there are 3.5 who open up this app to be genuinely educated. And what I mean by that is pen, paper, dar style, like lecture, taking notes. No, they want to learn, but they want to be taught in an entertaining way. And this is why a whole genre has been created that is loosely coined as edutainment. There's even a genre that has been recently coined, shout out to Ben for informing me on this, called dawatainment. It's a whole genre, dawatainment, which is you're hearing the brother giving dawah, but he's doing it in an entertaining fashion. It engages you. And this speaks to, you have to understand the psychology of why people use YouTube in the first place. Why are they using it? Rodney said, I'm driving a truck. Rodney. So Rodney, I want to know from you, bro, yeah? You're driving this truck. Are you sat here whilst you're driving this massive, I don't know how many ton truck, 18-wheeler truck, to get some type of thick, strong lesson from me? Sometime like we're studying Al-Muwatta or something like this? Or are you listening to me right now because you're bored, bruv? Tell the truth. Do you know when I listen to podcasts or streams like this? Do you know when I listen to them? When I have to do my cardio, bruv, because I hate running. I hate it, but I have to do it. It's part of my routine. That's when I listen to a podcast. I've got podcasts in my watch later right now that are specifically for when I have to do these bloody 5 to 8K runs. Specifically for that. Why? Because it takes the edge off the pain a little bit. It makes it I can look forward to the podcast. I hate the run, but if I only allow myself to listen to the podcast whilst I'm running, I can some way trick my brain into looking forward to the run. That's when I listen to it. Am I looking to pull out pen and paper and take some serious notes? No, bruv. I'm looking for a healthy distraction whilst I'm running. I'd like to learn something, but please make it a bit more easy for me to digest because I'm in the middle of this painful 6K right now. That's when I open up YouTube. You guys, you've got your own vices. You open it up for the same reasons. You open it up when you're in the middle of doing your work and you're bored and it's like, oh, forget this. Let me open up YouTube. Ah, funny. Yeah, let me watch that for a second. So this specific attack on it's entertainment, it has to be entertaining. Go back and watch my first 300 videos, bruv. I was the most boring guy on YouTube ever. If there was an award for the most boring guy on YouTube, I would have won that. Hands down, zero competition. I paid no attention to lighting. I paid no attention to expressing my humorous side. I paid no attention to mics or sound quality or anything. I was like, I have a message. I need to share it. It's very important. That was me, bruv. And that's why I got 3.5 views on all of those videos. And slowly, 300 videos took me literally 300 videos to finally understand that the reason why people are opening up YouTube is the same reason I open up YouTube, to get some type of mild entertainment. And if I can learn something at the same time, so much the better. So it's not a criticism, bruv. It just is what it is. It's the game. It's the game. Let's continue.
But one thing I'm noticing coming from a lot of single brothers on social media is they seem to have this enthusiasm about how they're really going to step up and they're going to be a great husband and they're going to do whatever it takes to take care of their wife, even if they have to work, all these different jobs, they're going to take care of their families. It's very easy to retweet a meme proclaiming all of this stuff, especially when you're not yet married. Those initial stages of trying to find a spouse, finding somebody, having those butterflies, having those feelings, they call it the honeymoon phase. It's really easy to make all of these promises during that time. But the reality is, a lot of brothers have no idea what they're getting themselves into. They have no idea the tests and hardships that they're going to face in a marriage. They're clueless about women and how to treat women. Allah created death and life to test us. You're going to be tested in your life. You're going to be tested with your wife, with your kids, with your wealth. We can't even imagine. We can't foresee the types of trials that lay ahead of us. May Allah guide.
I mean, I would say that's a fair point as well. That's a fair point, is that especially if you've never been married before, gentlemen, if you've never been married before, okay, be careful, number one, how much of this type of content that you consume. And number two, be careful with what you do with it. Why do I say that? Is because it's like you learning how to drive a Formula One car by spending 3 years on YouTube watching tutorials of how to race a Formula One car like Lewis Hamilton. You know all the technicalities. You know everything about the vehicle. You know everything about head movement, fitness. I don't know, bro. I know nothing about Formula One, so I'm literally just guessing at this point. You know everything about how to run that car, how to drive that car. I'm sorry, how to race that car. But there's just one small problem. And that one teeny weeny problem is you've never been in one. Now imagine you spent 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, mashallah, 10 years. Okay, you are the alam of Formula One racing car. We have the alam of this car. And now you decide to enter a race. If they would even let you, they would even let you. But let's just imagine now. Play along with me. And you're going to race Lewis Hamilton and you're going to race all the other big names. What's going to happen? You guys already know how this plays out. You're going to crash the car in 2 seconds flat. It won't even be a competition. We'll be preparing your janaza, bruv. That's what we will be doing, preparing your janaza. Same with swimming. If you try to learn how to swim just by reading books and watching YouTube videos, and then one day you jump into a river, a stream, the sea, you are going to drown. You will drown because you don't know how the water feels like on your body and how to adjust the movements in the moment. You don't have that tacit experience. You don't have that tacit experience of dealing with a woman. So be careful how much of this type of content you consume, because you might start to form warped ways of thinking. I've given you your warning. It's up to you now what you do with that. But just know that Mahdi has warned you. If you are married, then this information will be more useful to you. And I'm not saying that this information is not useful to you if you're not married, because it helps you in the vetting process. But overconsumption of anything is bad for you, including water. Drink too much water, guess what? You will die. Of what? Intracellular drowning. It's an actual thing. You will drown your cells to death and you will die. So too much of anything, even good things, are bad for you. Let's continue.
Guide us and protect us and make it easy for us. Ameen. But my point is, by consuming all of this entertainment online and allowing it to shape our view of marriage and relationships and how a man and a woman should be, it is setting us up for failure. I just want to share some actual life experiences. I've been Muslim now for over 14 years. I've experienced a lot and I've seen a lot. One thing I've seen a lot of is brothers treating marriage like dating. And what I mean by that is I've seen many situations where as soon as though that honeymoon phase goes away, maybe after a year or a couple of years, a husband might not be as attracted to his wife. He will move on. I've seen this happen many times with religious practicing brothers, let alone people who might not even have a lot of taqwa or really be practicing.
So once again, this is it's getting a bit embarrassing at this point. When you choose to use anecdotal first-hand evidence over data, then it gets a little bit embarrassing. And this is why I say, like, just stick in your lane, man. Stay in your lane. This is why I make it very clear I am not a da'i, and I don't come on here to give da'wah. Now I have to. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which is whereby he said, "Ballighu minni walau kana ayah." Share from me, even if it is one ayah. So if there is something that I feel if I don't share it, I'm hiding it from you, basically. Then I will share it with you. But aside from that, I am not a da'i. I'm not here to give da'wah. I'm not a da'i. I'm not here to give da'wah. And I'd say to the da'is, unless you have an intimate, good understanding of female psychology, better to stay away from that discussion. It's not for you. It's like me now suddenly trying to give some explanation of tafsir of hadith and Quran and so on. I'm just going to embarrass myself. I am not qualified to give that type of video. It's not for me. And that's how it comes off when you talk like this. And why do I say that? Once again, because the majority of divorces are initiated by women, Habibi, brother Sajid, not by men. So maybe you know, and it sounds like the women who say, "Oh, but I'm my friend, she did it. She had a baby at 55." That's what it sounds like. So maybe you know some brothers, and there are certain communities within the Muslim community, certain sub-communities in the Muslim community who have garnered this reputation for wife swapping, billah. I can't think of a better description for it, or rotating their women out at a really quick pace. You know, the way one brother put it to me is like, some of these sisters, they've been through the whole masjid. Wallahi, this is how he said it to me. So some of these sisters, they've been through the whole masjid. In halal, it was married every time, but you know, it's unsavory to say the least. So maybe you know a couple of those guys. Okay, fine. But guess what? It flies in the face of reality and data. And the data is clear. The majority of divorces are indeed initiated by women, not men. And to quote Brother Gabriel, shout out to Brother Gabriel, who mentioned on one of his videos a long time ago, or maybe it was on the video that I did with him, that he was speaking to one sheikh in the Middle East. He didn't say which country specifically, but somewhere in the Middle East. And he said the women are asking for khul. And to those of you who don't know what a khul is when a woman initiates the divorce. There's two different words. Talaq is when the man initiates the divorce or says the divorce. And khul is when the woman goes to an imam to ask for a divorce. Okay, it's a different process. Two different words. He said the women are seeking khul like they changed their slippers. Those were his words. That's what Brother Gabriel said. And that's what the Shaykh related to him. The women are seeking khul like they change their slippers. So whilst I agree that I am sure there are men who rotate women in and out, Muslim men at a quick pace, and they are unjust towards them and so on and all the rest of it. I'm sure this type of man exists. I've yet to meet him, but I'm sure he exists and I'm sure he's out there and I've heard the stories. Whilst I'm sure that man exists, he is a minority. And this is nothing more than fear mongering. Men and women alike for that matter, but men should be less worried. We as men should be less worried about men divorcing women than women divorcing men. I'll say that one more time. We should be less worried about a woman divorcing her husband than the husband. We should be less worried about the husband divorcing his wife than the wife divorcing her husband. Let's continue.
Now, one can easily say, oh, well, if that's how he feels, he should marry a second wife. But unfortunately, many of us struggle to even support and fulfill the rights of one wife or one family. So then, just due to the fact that the desire for one's wife may have gone down and his desire has gone up to find a second one, he gets divorced and he goes on to another wife. And then he repeats the same process.
You see, this sounds like Brother Sajid has a very specific, particular brother in his mind who's done this. And he knows of this brother. And now I'm sure this guy exists, but he is a minority. And even then I would push back and I'd say to you this, Brother Sajid, which is the following. What's better? For him to commit zina, if that's the point that it's getting to, because the example you gave was that his desires have so far exceeded his wife's that he needs another wife. For him to commit zina or to get married. You know, divorce, as bad as it is, as detrimental as it is to society, it is not as bad as zina. I'll say that again. Divorce, as bad and as harmful as it is to the family unit in particular, it's not as bad as zina. Now, I don't know the situation of this gentleman that you just pointed out, but if it got to that and he was faced with an ultimatum, either he commits zina or he gets married again, but this wife is not having it and she wants to go, you have to let her go. What can you do? Because ultimately he needs to protect his private parts. Now, I would say the best case scenario is that he takes a second wife regardless and keep the first one. But in the case of a lot of men, their first wives will leave. She is not having it. It's me or her. She gives him this ultimatum scenario and he has to choose. Tough. It's a tough situation. And that's why this discussion is nuanced and complex. And it's not just for someone who, just for anyone, just because you're in the da'wah field, that anyone can tackle these discussions. They are nuanced and complex. Even the business of having to provide for a woman as a second wife, even that, we can throw this out the window. And I'll tell you why, for a very specific type of woman. And that specific type of woman is the type of woman who doesn't want a full-time husband. She doesn't want a full-time husband. Why do you think I came up with No Strings Nikah in the first place? Google Store and download it on the App Store and Google Play. Why do you think I came up with that app in the first place? Because there is a specific niche of woman who doesn't want a man around full-time. She doesn't want him around full-time. She's been married 2, 3, 4 times. She has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes more children from 2, 3, 4 baby daddies. She is like, forget this ish. I ain't doing all of that full-time wifey thing again. But at the same time, she has an itch that needs to be scratched, and that itch must be scratched in halal. What's the solution? Nikah. She needs to get married. So even that, I would say there are instances, scenarios, situations where you can get married again and you don't have to provide for her in the conventional sense, in the full-time way. You will come to some type of negotiated agreement. This is what we call misyar. And obviously the two parties will have to arrange and agree that between each other. So even that I will push back on. It's a nuanced, complicated discussion that is difficult to tackle if you are not so deeply entrenched in these discussions on a daily basis, like AbuAmerican is, like I am.
With that wife. So now he has multiple women with multiple kids that he fulfilled his desires with initially, but after that faded away, he didn't stick around. And that's what a lot of brothers fail to realize. This sort of thing happens way more than we talk about. And this is far.
Again, I'm sure it does. It is still a minority. The minority of men are reproducing in the first place. Right now, 30% of men between the ages of 18 and 31 are celibate. Actually, it's not 30%. I received an article just this morning. This article here was by The Hill. I'll read it off to you. I can't pull it up on the screen right now because it's on my phone, but I'll read it off to you. Let me find it. Hold up. I put it on this Telegram group. The article was, here it is. Okay. Most young men are single. Most young women are not. That's the name of the article. I can't put it up on the screen because I'm looking at it from my phone. I'm just going to read it off to you here. In fact, Better Bachelor done a video on this. I watched it this morning. More than 60% of young men are single, nearly twice the rate of unattached young women, signaling a larger breakdown in the social, romantic, and sexual life of the American male. This is an American article, okay? Now, there are many reasons for that. I'm not blaming women. I'm not saying it's all women's fault or it's all men's fault. There's this very nuanced, complex discussion. Porn is involved, easy access, easy gratification, porn, masturbation, these types of things. They diminish your drive and urge to want to actually have to work and achieve something so that you can earn the right to take on a wife and so on and so forth. It's a nuanced, complex discussion. But the point is this. The majority of men are sexless, never mind childless. Never mind childless. So whilst I agree that I am sure this gentleman, this archetype, this man who's going around with getting loads of different women, knocking them all up, getting them pregnant, I'm sure he exists. He's a minority. It's not even worth talking about.
From the worst of it. This is, let's just say that this is from, practicing brothers. If we go to the other end of the spectrum, other things that many women have dealt with is abuse. There's also infidelity, people having affairs, committing zina, not going and getting a secret second wife. I'm talking about not even getting married, just committing zina. Some people, they have addictions. They get addicted to drugs. A lot of people are not going to broadcast this all over social media because it's personal. But these are things that are unfortunately happening within our community more than we'd probably like to admit. So of course, people are going to see these things happening and they are going to be concerned. They're going to try to prepare for the worst case scenario. So as a result, many are delaying getting married and they're trying to get educated and have a career. But to
Brother Sajid, you're so behind on this discussion. Now I'm getting upset. I'm disappointed with how behind on this discussion you are, Brother Sajid, because you strike me as an intelligent brother. I haven't consumed your content, but you're an intelligent, articulate, eloquent brother. And I am disappointed with how behind you are on this discussion. You are citing extreme examples that whilst I am sure they are the minority. And as I've already stated multiple times, women who pursue college, university education, initiate divorce at a 90% rate, which is higher than the already high 70 to 80% that non-university college educated women initiate divorce at. It was already high. Women initiating divorce, it skyrockets tonight. This is disappointing, brother. Wallahi, this is disappointing.
ignore all these concerns and to just tell them, no, you need to marry when you're young. You need to not get educated. You need to be a submissive, obedient wife. These are not going to help you get married. This is not going to convince these women. And this isn't even preparing you for what marriage actually is, for what marriage is actually like, for what is required of you as a Muslim husband. And trust me, I know that that it goes both ways. I know that there are situations where the husband is abused, where the husband is taken advantage of. Those sorts of concerns should also be addressed. However, if the red pill Muslim brothers are really concerned about being men, being masculine, then understand it's much more than just being in shape and doing martial arts. There's more to it than just leading your family and making money. There is an awful lot about being a man and being a husband that is not glamorous. It's not entertaining and fun to talk about online. And unfortunately, one thing I'm seeing a lot of online is young men are not being prepared. They're busy being entertained and having their minds filled with a bunch of nonsense by ignorant people. And this is going to harm all of us. It's going to harm the women, and it's going to harm the men, and it's going to harm our children. So what we really need is to return to the Quran and Sunnah, and we need to learn from people of knowledge, not entertainers. Allah knows best. Thank you for watching. Jazak.
Brother keeps making reference to that entertainer swipe or gripe. I would address this just now half an hour ago. Anyway, look, like I said, if you try to learn how to swim by reading a book and you don't actually get that experience in the pool, and you decide one day to jump into the middle of the Atlantic, you are going to drown and die. If you overly consume content on this side of the internet and you're not in a relationship, in a marriage, testing it out firsthand, seeing what is working for you and what doesn't work for you firsthand, you're going to drown. It's going to be a problem. And I've restated this many times. Don't overly consume any type of content on the internet. Any, because you can easily fall into an echo chamber. Why do you think we have leftists in the first place? Everyone thinks they're right, by the way. You'll notice every party, every faction thinks they are definitely right. Do you know when you finally reach a level of enlightenment is when you are open to the possibility that you could be wrong? That's when you realize, in fact, there's a famous saying, I can't remember who said it, which is the ignorant think they know everything, and the enlightened and educated think they know nothing. Why? Because education is like an iceberg. The more you learn, the more you realize there is to learn. I said this to myself the other day, actually, whilst I was reading through something. I was like, man, ignorance is bliss. And the reason why I said that is because it was scaring me how little I know. I was learning, and it was scaring me. I really felt fear at how little I know and how tiny and pathetic my knowledge is. And it just came out my mouth. I was like, ignorance is bliss. Ignorant people think they know it all, and they sleep well at night. But educated people, and I'm not referring to university, I'm talking about real education, educated people, man, they're scared. They're like, sometimes you can even suffer from imposter syndrome. Wallahi, you'll suffer from an imposter syndrome. You feel like, why do people think I know stuff, bruv? I know nothing. I get this all the time. Whenever people say to me, oh, I benefited, I learned a lot from you. Sometimes I'm like, bruv, I don't know jack, bruv. Why do I feel like that? Because the more I learn, the more I educate myself, the more learning I embark upon, the more I realize I don't know. And that's a scary feeling. So be careful with the type of content you consume and how you go about implementing it. Needless to say, even water can kill you if you overindulge in drinking it. So now my question to you, the audience, is, do you believe, based upon this hour-and-a-half breakdown that we've done just now, that YouTube imams, for want of a better word, give bad advice, marriage advice specifically? Or do you believe that they do give good marriage advice? Why? I'll put the link in the chat. Call me, and we can talk about it. The link is in the chat, and I will also pin it here. Let me pin it in the YouTube one. All right, let's pin this. Pin message. Done. Okay, the link is in the chat and it's pinned as the top comment. You can call me, and I will be bringing callers on after we have had a quick break. enough of that. I am back. Let's get this party started. All right. Based Fuller. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam rahmatullah barakatuhu. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. Where you from, my man?
Yeah, originally I'm from West Africa, small country, Guinea-Bissau, but now I'm based in the United States.
Nice, nice. And what do you have to add to this discussion, my man?
Yeah, I just see it as an ongoing trend, unfortunately, that I hate to say it, I maybe this is not the right word, but I think like more of these I don't want to insult them either, but more of these scholar for dollars are becoming like domesticated into the order of the day pretty much. And
I mean, look, I want to stay away from that type of language because I stay in my lane, bro. I've heard this term before.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And ultimately, it will be backbiting, right?
Yeah.
It will be backbiting. So
Yeah.
I want to stay away from that type of language. Are there those types of, as you put it, scholar for dollars?
Yeah.
Scholars for dollars? I'm sure there are. But
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. So I'm not gonna take a risk.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Understood. Yeah, Jazakallah khair for that correction. But yeah, I just kind of see it as a trend more and more that is I guess more so than ever the leadership is kind of just like conforming to what is
your phone is vibrating like mad, bro.
Oh, okay. I think more than anything, the leadership that we have is more conforming to what they feel is the right thing, which is what's the majority that is out there. I don't know if this is a result of social engineering or what is the case, but that's just how I feel like with the whole thing, because I've seen things that I never thought I would see before in terms of from the Islamic perspective.
Give me specific examples. What are you referring to?
So, more than anything, even in mosque, you have, imams who are officiating marriages between like non-Muslim men and Muslim women. Like this is now normal.
You've seen this? I haven't seen this.
Yeah, I've seen this in the West. Yeah, it's actually prevalent here in
yeah. How this is haram, yani. Everyone
knows it is, but they still do it anyway, like because some will say, hey, you're in the West, so the rules are going to be different, so I'm seeing more of these kind of talking points as the ones you have seen, as the ones you have shown on your on this broadcast,
So what are you saying then with regards to specifically now the video breakdown that I've done just now? Are you making a specific comment towards Brother Sajid or
towards him especially, because of the simple fact it just seems like he's just looking at it from a one-sided perspective and not looking at it from a full surface perspective. And it just seems like that one side is just, I guess you can say making men kind of like making what men put, like, how should I word it? Like making it seem like what men risk in marriage is like pretty much irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean? it's an old trope. It's an old trope for sure. My man, I'm gonna bring on the next caller, inshallah. I appreciate you coming on, Habibi.
All right, Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Mansoor, assalamu alaikum. Mansoor, you're in the stream.
Oh, salam wa alaikum assalam. كيف حال?
Alhamdulillah. What's going on, OBS? Hello?
Bro. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, what's going on, bro? Talk to me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, bro. Hold on a second. Let me just catch this super chat real quick. Shout out to brother Mikael for the 9.99 super chat. Brother Mahdi again, Jazakallahu khairan. It's Kruger, the Italiano convert from earlier. My man, want to add of my own channel changed to My Journey of Islam, my Shahada story uploading. Allahu Akbar. Shout out to you, bro. Go check out my guy's channel. The name of it is My Journey of Islam. Shout out to you, bro. Yes, bro. Hit me. What you got? Bismillah.
Man, I can't hear you from the stream, but I can hear you from the live. But basically, you see, when you talked about the Imams,
Yes.
yeah, they're pretty much disconnected when it's with the society today.
Okay. Well, what makes you say that?
Like you know, the Imam. There's like some Imam called Abu Taymiyyah.
Yes. I know the name, but I don't know
For
anything about
example, he had the talk with his sisters, and he said there's a red flag with 50-50. Like
Huh?
you know the 50-50 where in today's society, I
Yeah.
can hear myself echo too much.
No, you're not echoing. Go on, carry on.
Like basically, he said it's like a simp move
If what?
where he doesn't understand.
Hold on. What's a simp move?
Like you know where today man can't like he can't. One second. A man can't really be like the full.
Okay, bro, Mansoor, fix your whatever is going on your end because this is spoiling the quality of the stream for everyone else. Bahzad, salam alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam. How you doing, bro?
Hey, you got Kohalan?
Yeah.
You look sick, bruv. Look like a
Thank
villain
you.
out here. You know what I mean?
Thank
What
you.
you saying, Akhi? How you doing?
I've been good, bro. How you been?
Alhamdulillah. Suits you, bro. MashaAllah, Allahumma barak.
Thank you. So, with regards to Imams, I wanted to say that there's a level of courting they have to do. They have to be courtiers in a sense, because a lot of Imams they make their living through donations. If you're not mainstream, and in order to keep that going, you have to court to the public. The majority of the ummah now in the West are people who disagree with you. We're the outcast. People who listen to you are outcast. So they have to neglect the types of beliefs we have to continue their livelihood and continue important in the public eye.
I mean, that's a bold statement, bro. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, it's a bold statement. But I don't mean it in a sense to attack them. I mean it in the sense to understand them. Why they come off with these things and so on. They also have families. I don't mean it in a sense to attack them. And apart from that, like the more mainstream Imams, their wives will always be with them. They're in they fulfill the hypergamous needs, so they can't see from the level that the average person is on.
This is a good point.
Majority,
you know what? Yeah, let me just add to that, Bahzad. This is
Yeah.
a good point because you know this is a very, very valid point here. Because you know when Mufti Menk did that video of the quack quack, move to the left, move to the
Yeah.
right thing, maybe Mufti Menk can pull that off and still be in frame with his wife.
Yeah.
Maybe he can because
Mhm.
he's Mufti Menk, bruv. Do you understand? Like, I don't know his financial status, but I'm sure he does well for himself financially.
Yeah.
His social status, everybody knows. We know his social status. So maybe because the more, the higher up the ladder you climb in terms of as being a man, the more room for error you can make with your woman or with your women for that matter. So maybe he can pull that off. But this is an excellent point that you've pointed out, which is, can that advice be extrapolated and used for the everyday layman?
No.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Bahzad, I'm gonna bring on the next caller, my man. Jazakallah
Alright.
khair for that, my man. I appreciate it. Habibi, take care. Assalamu alaikum. It's an important point, to be honest with you. To be able to, is that advice applicable for the everyday layman? Brother Mikhail, assalamu alaikum. Your internet is horrible, bro. Horrible. I have to bring on the next guy. Right. Anwar, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you?
How you doing, my man? My brother from Algeria. How you doing, Akhi Anwar?
Yeah. All good. Thank
Oh, crap. Sorry, I just removed you. Yeah, go on. Carry on, my guy. What's going on?
All right. So I don't think Imams on YouTube are doing a good job. I think because they are not qualified for that. I see only few scholars are addressing this, are talking about this this topic about marriage they're doing well, but simple imams, they're not doing well because they don't have enough knowledge to talk about this. And I usually, when I watch them, I feel I see that they have different opinions about marriage. Like when I see this imam and the other, they have different opinions. And there are some imams, some daya. There's daya named Wasim Yusuf, an Arabic daya. He was corrupting women, like actually. And recently, scholars talked about him and said that this guy is dull. He will take you down, and don't follow him. Yeah, he was like he was too soft, being dramatic and attracting women. And he had a program on TV, and the women called him and talk about the problems. And he even said that having intimacy with your wife from that place that which is haram, he said that it's halal.
No way.
Yeah, he's terrible. Like he's so bad. And when I've seen Mufti Menk, that video, I've seen it before, because I don't have I'm not qualified to judge imams, and I'm a simple man. I don't have knowledge about the deen that as Mufti Menk. I felt that was wrong, but I said this is imam. I should respect his opinion. But I felt something bad, like something weird in my
You felt like
inside.
something was off. You felt like something
Yeah.
was off.
I think there is a da'iya. I don't know his name, but he's American and he looks like an Asian from Asia, and he gives a good advice. I think I like that advice. And also there is.
I've got a question for you. I got a question for you. And brother Mikhail,
All right.
shout out to you for the $5 super chat. I got you, Habibi. He was in a masjid, he had terrible service. Khalas, inshallah, I'll try and bring you on again. I got a question for you. If you have a marriage problem, you have a problem in your marriage with your wife, maybe you are like at the beginning of the stream, you just found out that your wife just called her ex-boyfriend, not even husband, her ex-boyfriend. Okay.
Yeah.
If we are saying that your average everyday imam, he's probably going to give you some type of generic advice that is not going to be very useful to you, then who do we go to? Who does the everyday layman go to? If not him, then who?
Let me tell you this. I'm being honest. Like there is nobody to go to. Like there is no one. Like absolutely, I just know you, and the only person I know, not the only, I know you and Abu Romani and those guys. You know.
Gabriel Romani, yeah, and AbuAmerican.
Yeah.
AbuAmerican, of course.
Are the only guys I know. They talk about the such topics, and the rest of the people they don't talk about this. So there is no one to go. I just, for example, for me, if this happened to me, divorce is dissolution. There's no other way.
Straight away, bro. Straight away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's صغيرة, you know, I can't have this, you know. Even though if we fix the problem, I keep thinking that she may have another chance to talk with him. And I hate that. So just shut the door, like, go away.
على طول, shut the door, bro. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've just seen brother says what he was saying, like it was shocking, like that when he said about men like women who've never been touched. Yeah, that's like this something is badihi, like
badihi. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's from the
it
fitra.
doesn't need badihi means something natural to the audience, by the way. It doesn't need explaining. It's not something that requires.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to be Muslim.
You don't have to be Muslim, bruv. You don't have to
exactly.
be man, human being, male species. You get it. It doesn't require explanation. It's not, and it's some type of weird phenomena.
Yeah, and also he said that he was talking about these guys on social media talking about sex, and they are Muslims, and this is like they should have some haya. Like if we have haya and we don't talk about these things, we're gonna fall into the mistakes. Like if you don't know about some the mistake that you're gonna do, you will fall into it. Like this is
obviously,
something.
There is a line. Obviously, we have to be careful as Muslims not to cross that line.
And the reason, of course, there is a line. And the reason why he didn't mention Ali Dawah because he's always arguing with him. And also,
You see, now this is why I don't know. I didn't know this because I don't consume his content.
yeah,
So that's
he's
the
always arguing with Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawah. Like they have a problem.
Okay, so that's dawah beef. I don't know nothing about that. I ain't involved, bruv. All right, I'm not even the referee at this point. I don't. I know nothing about that stuff.
Yeah, and he mentioned university. Like here in Algeria, it's a Muslim country. I've been in university like since 3 years. Like it's terrible. When I joined university, it is the place like there are places are specialized for haram, and there are places are specialized for knowledge. And I was shocked. Like this university is for education, it's not for sex and for dating. Like when I joined university, is terrible. Like I'm thinking about my sister. Like, should we allow her like to go to university? Like, I'm seeing like 90% of women that I know in university are dating. Like,
for
it's
real?
terrible.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You said 90%. How do you know that number? How?
Like, not just dating. Like, if she's not dating, she's been in mixed places. Like she's talking openly with men, and you know, it's hard to do ghad basar and to lower your gaze, and it's hard to not talk with men or with women. It's too hard. Like, and also this is in Algeria, in a Muslim country. I've been with two of my friends. We were doing like a university task, and the camera above us and 3 meters away, like when I was discussing the exercise with my friends, I heard like a weird voice, something going wrong. When I just looked left, they were cuddling. If this is the right word, I don't know if this is the proper word.
Okay. So you're being nice about it right now, right? Oh,
yeah, it was terrible. Like,
wow.
Yeah, and
I don't know why I think I'm acting a bit ignorant here, but I get extra shocked when I hear this stuff happening in Muslim countries. I don't know why, bro. It hits me in the heart more. I expect this crap in the non-Muslim countries, but it hits me worse when I hear it happen in the Muslim countries.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just one time. Another time, this place was had more public, like had more many people.
Right.
It's the same thing. I was hearing something weird, and when I see they were kissing in front of people in the parking lot.
And you're saying that the majority of girls at uni, at least where you are in Algeria, guys, the room is full, by the way. If you're trying to get in, it's full. Just try again in a moment. I just received the notification. You might be able to try in a second. The room is completely full. The majority of girls are in a relationship of some sort. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. If they are not in a relationship, they are doing a lot of haram. It's not about the women, only women, like even men. Like, I'm finding it hard to be practicing.
Subhanallah, that's deep, bro.
Yeah, it's too hard.
Subhanallah. So then what advice do you have to young men who are in a situation like yourself? You're trying to practice the religion, but you're in this environment and there's lots of haram happening around you. How do you manage to protect yourself? What's your recourse? What do you do?
I don't know, maybe because I've been practicing since I was very young, and my family is religious, and father was doing a lot of things, was doing his best to keep me away. Yeah, I've been there have been moments when I was weak, but never fall into mistake. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So,
alhamdulillah, this is the ni'mah. Wallahi, this is the ni'mah. It's a blessing from Allah.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to young men then who are in your situation?
I don't know. just follow the deen. Like, don't follow what's happening outside.
Salah, I would say salah. Hold on to your salah.
Yeah, salah is the main thing.
It's the salah.
Yeah, exactly.
Habibi, barakallah fiqh. I appreciate you coming on, Akhi Anwar.
Thank you, brother.
Look after yourself, my man. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Good luck.
My countryman, Anwar, mashallah. Shout out to Dude Desi for the $20 super chat. I appreciate you, Dude Desi. Assalamu alaikum. I'm not sure if you would agree with me on this, Mahdi. I genuinely believe Muslim men are not given adequate education on certain areas and are allowed to enter into marriage naive in regards to female nature. No doubt about this. I wouldn't say this is a Muslim thing. I'd just say this is just a guy thing, period. That's why this side of the internet exists in the first place, Abdul Hamid, Dude Desi. Shout out to you, my man. I couldn't agree more. And I appreciate the $20 super chat, Abdul Hamid. Very generous. Barakallahu feek. Luqman, salamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing,
Okay,
sister?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. So to answer your question, I'm going to try to be quick. I think that the reason that a lot of these YouTuber marriage, advice givers, a lot of them I think are just disconnected to what modern society is these days because of the strong influence that technology has on the hold of the youth and the influence that it has. I think that a lot of the older generations, like Mufti Menk and whatever, like the boomer, I don't know if that's a bad term to say, but like the older ones who give advice, I think they're just still living in how they grew up and how they perceived marriage to be, without really understanding that technology has really influenced the youth. And they're always constantly exposed to social media and how XYZ marriage is. Like a lot of young sisters these days, going into marriage, they see peers or whatever, how they're seeing their friends post about what marriage is like and stuff, and nobody's going to be posting their arguments. And so they're coming into marriage with this comparison already of, oh, this is the way marriage is supposed to be. And when reality hits them and their husbands are not as XYZ as someone else's husbands, they get severely disappointed. Whereas back in like the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, a lot of women did not have this kind of access to, as much comparisons. And when they watch TV or when they would watch movies or Bollywood or whatever XYZ, they were told in a sense that is fantasy. And so it's like, oh, it's Bollywood, it's just a movie, it's just make believe. But when you see things like social media and people posting their highlights, they think that is reality. So I think a lot of the older imams or whatever, they're just so out of tune of the effect that technology has or social media has on women these days, and even men too. But I like to just focus on the women aspect.
So you're saying then that the how can we say, the negative sides of female nature are amplified. It's on steroids with the advent of social media. Is that what you're saying? Luqman, are you there?
Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, I heard everything you said. I just didn't know that my mic cut off. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that a lot of women these days, they're just comparing to what they're seeing is quote unquote like the norm, what they think is the norm from other men of like their wives' husbands in their social group. Because they're just plastered with all of these things that are just also fake and not true, because everyone's
But then surely, to push back on you, surely then, whether a girl goes to university or not, she's still exposed to the same stuff on social media. So then surely girls who don't go to uni will be just as, be just as negatively affected as those who do go.
Yeah, everyone's affected these days. I'm just saying that the older imams and stuff, they're just not aware of the effects of the psychology it has on women these days. I mean, even if a woman doesn't go to university, say she has a hand phone, she's on YouTube, she's on social media, she's on Instagram, she's doing all this stuff still, so she's still comparing in her.
Oh, we lost you. Luqman, you're welcome to come back on when you come back, inshallah. And I would say this is that with regards to my question, whether she goes to university or not, a girl's going to be affected. Men are affected for that matter. We're all affected by it, but particularly those who indulge their desires. Those who indulge their desires, and young people are more inclined towards indulging their desires because of hormones. Basically, your hormones are racing and raging. Hence why the seven who will be shaded under the shade of Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the day of judgment, is the one who worshipped Allah in his youth, specifically in his youth. Why? Because it's harder. It's harder. The hormones are raging. It's just harder, and you're more prone to making mistakes and being erratic. Khair. Brother Mikhail, let's bring you on. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing, brother?
Alhamdulillah. What's going on, bro? I like your energy. What's going on, Akhi?
Alhamdulillah, man. I'm just enjoying it. I saw that I got a chance to come on your stream for once, so I'm excited.
Welcome.
You know, I watch your videos a lot, man. And as I said, you know, I converted back January 26, 2023. So it's only been about a month.
Yeah? That's you, mashallah, mashallah. Yes, Akhi, mabruk, mashallah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I can see that energy running through your, flowing through your veins right now. That new Muslim energy. How does it feel like?
Brother, I'm sure you can understand, and you know, it's a type of feeling that cannot be described in words. It can't be expressed in words. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's his love, right? You know what I mean? It's his love. It's his warmth that I feel inside on a daily basis.
Amazing, Akhi. What's your story? How did you come to the religion?
So I'll try and make this as quick as possible, make a short story longer, so to say, right? And you know, going back to like when I was, of course, I'm Italiano. I was raised Catholic, born in America. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and you know, being that I was raised Catholic, I was put into Sunday school, right, to make your first communion, this, that, and the third. And right around the time I was like between 7 years old to 10 years old, Sunday school, I was asking questions, right? I'd read stuff in the Bible that I'm questioning. I asked the priest or the teacher, and they're like, no. You don't ask these questions. And my response always was, so you want me to have faith blindly? I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. It's saying one thing here, but it's the exact opposite. And then from, you know, the Old Testament to the New Testament to the King James Bible to the NIV, the RSV, there's so much stuff that's been added, removed, fraudulence, forgeries from Paul, right? So it's like by the time I was 11, I'd say I pretty much walked away from the Catholic religion. Wow. And I always had this belief of, you know, one creator, almighty, all merciful, most gracious, right? Come to find out once I researched about Islam, that's what, you know, Islam is. It's one, right? And Allah is one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you know, as I dive into this more, I'm like, okay, so about 4 years ago from today, I'm 30 right now. 4 years ago, I got into, you know, I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking weed, right? I stopped all that stuff. And of course, in America, like that's a big part of the culture, right? In today's world, in the Western world. So I stopped doing all that. Just something came upon me. I was like, you know what? I don't want this in my life anymore. I doubled down on going to the gym and exercising, and my relationship with, you know, God at the time, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, got so much stronger throughout this time, right? So then right about, and when I say God, this was not the God of the Catholic religion that I was brought up. This was just what I understood Allah to be at this time, right?
Got you.
So right about like 2 years ago, I'm like, all right, as my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gets stronger and stronger and stronger, I'm like, I need to know, right? I need to find this out. I already know Christianity, as far as I'm concerned, that's out the window, right? And there's so many other things that came to it why Christianity to me is, right? Like there's one of the biggest cardinal sins in most religions, but especially Christianity, is sodomy, right? And I see this thing on social media, like, I don't know, and even on the news, it was like 5-6 years ago, about a priest or a Christian minister who was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this guy the symbol of your religion, yet he's the exact opposite of what your scripture tells you what to do? So I'm like, yeah, that's gone. So then I check out all the isms. I'm like, yeah, not for me. You know, all the polytheism, Buddhism to me was more like a consciousness.
So you went on a journey, basically. You went on
a journey.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then when I found Islam, and you know, I read I do a lot of research. I read the Quran, and a lot of stuff is ticking in my head. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't read the Quran front to back. I had skimmed, right? I had found little pieces and passages, and I'm like, okay, this is all of the values and principles that I base my life upon to this day. So I've basically been Muslim without being Muslim, right?
I got you. I got you. I got you.
So then it's like January 25th, which is January 26th was Thursday, and it was Thursday night when I recited my Shahada with the Imam, the Sheikh, and it was he explains to me that that's basically Friday morning over in like Saudi, I believe. So he says this is the holiest day. It's the best day to recite it.
Islam, the day precedes the night. Yeah. Let me just get this right. The night. The night precedes. I can't. I'm getting my language mixed up. But anyway, the day will begin on the night. The day will begin on the night. Are you with me? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. All right. So getting back into this, right? So on the 25th, I'm looking at like this week. I'm looking at mosques in the area because I'm like, all right, I need to go to a mosque. I need to talk to the imam, to the sheikh. I need to find out more, right? Because I'm like pretty much ready to make this which I found out as Muslims we call revert, right? Because we were all born Muslim. It's our parents who pushed us in their way. So I find a mosque, and on the website there's a phone number. So I'm like, all right, perfect, right? Well, let me call. So I call, and the brother who answers the phone, right? What felt like a 5-minute conversation, we talked for an hour and 55 minutes. No, like, wallahi, brother, I swear, like, it was crazy to me, the energy that I felt through the phone, the energy that this brother was giving off, so welcoming, like, and what made me make that phone call that night, bro, I can't even tell you, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
Exactly.
It was not me.
Exactly.
So he says to me, I want to go there now, and it's Wednesday night at like 8:30, and he's like, well, we all just left, but tomorrow at 7 o'clock Isha time, right? He's like, yeah, we have prayer. He's like, if you can come a few minutes beforehand, right, you can talk to me, you can talk to the imam, and we'll answer some of your questions. So I show up, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna show up early, like I want to show him I'm serious. So I show up at 6:20, right? The brother is already waiting outside. It's freezing, right? He's waiting outside with a smile on his face, like already knows who I am when I show up because he hasn't seen me before. Of course, I'm right, like the way I'm dressed and everything. He's like, all right, brother Michael, right? At that time, my name was Michael. Okay, I had changed my name to Mikael. Okay,
that's
so
convenient. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, because I was named after, my mother named me after Saint Michael the Archangel from the Bible, which in the Quran is Mikael, right?
Yep.
So I go in, first off, the energy he's giving off, how welcoming it was for me, that just made it so much better. And then when I get in there, it is this brother, right? The sheikh and myself, and we just sit down. And the energy from the sheikh as well, how welcoming, it cannot be explained, the energy that I felt, right? And then, so I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. So every brother that came in after that, same thing, extremely welcoming with open arms. Now, if you, right, if this were to flip-flop and you were to walk into a Catholic church and you were to try and talk to some Catholics like this, brother, they would look at you like you had 6 heads. Because you're like this. There's so much judgment in the Catholic Church. So to me, like, and I never felt welcome. Even when I was Catholic, I never felt welcome in a church, right?
Interesting.
In the masjid, when I go, even before I became Muslim, and now, brother, the feeling, like I'm sure you know, the warmth that you feel when you're in the masjid, it is amazing, right?
I'll be honest with you, Mikhail. Because I've been Muslim all my life, I don't know any different, and it's hard to appreciate without that comparison. I've said this before on my channel. You don't know what's cheap until you know what's expensive. You don't know what's low quality until you know what's high quality. You don't know what's high quality until you know what's low quality. So this is why I am interested in these stories, because I don't really have this experience, and it's a privileged experience. You have the juxtaposition. You're able to compare the difference. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. Yes, brother. Yeah, it's a blessing. It really is. You know. And like almost like the way that you're saying this is like the grass isn't always greener on the other side type of thing, right? So you know, it comes to this time, and the sheikh tells me, okay, it's 7 o'clock. It's about time for prayer, and he's like, you can go sit over here, right? And after that, you know, after we finish praying and you observe, we can talk for a half hour, whatever, and you ask me any questions you want, and I'll do my best to answer. I'm like, all right, cool, right? And then I say, but am I allowed to pray with you? And he looks at me, and he smiles, and he says, do you know what this means? And I just kind of looked at him and smiled, right? Like I didn't even say anything. I just looked at him and smiled. And he says, well, this would mean that you are ready to become Muslim. And brother, like before, I can't even say, like, it was like I was looking at myself from a third perspective, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke through me and was just like, yes, this is why I'm here, right? I'm ready. So he you know, mashallah, gives me a hug, and he's like, okay. So we go to the bathroom, and you know, we recite before the bathroom, and you know, recite it in Arabic and then in English, right? And then he shows me, you know, how to wudu, which he explains it to me. He's like, it's ablution, which is like it's like baptism in the Catholic religion, like somewhat, right? Except this is something we do before every salah, and you understand. So, you know, he's explaining, he tells me what to do. I go through it. Now, right when I get to like the second to last step, when I put the water over my head and then come back forward, first off, I need to explain to you that the way that my father raised me, right, and I grew up in the city, a man is a man, and a man is not supposed to show emotion, right? Especially not supposed to cry. So it brings me back to when I was a very little kid, and I was at the playground with my father and little brother, and this little kid fell down in front of us, right, and starts crying hysterically. My dad grabs me by the shirt, and he says, you see this right here? He said, you see this little pea? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he calls him that, right? He's like, this little fairy, whatever, we'll say that. He's like, you won't be like that. I'm not raising you to be soft like this. You're a man. We don't show emotion. We don't cry. So that was like my first kind of experience to this. Going back to when I do this, right? Water over my head, and I come back forward. Now, when I come back forward, I cannot express the joy, and my eyes literally water. Like I didn't start crying hysterically, but my eyes watered up. My eyes teared up, right? And in that moment, like it just, brother, I can't say it enough. Like I cannot express it in words, right? The feeling that I felt. And then he says to me, and this part was funny. We still, like, the sheikh and I laugh about it. He says to me, okay, now your feet. Now take off your socks and your feet. And I looked at him. I'm like, what you mean my feet? And he's like, yeah. Take off your socks. I'll hold your socks and you wash your feet. Now I look at him. I'm like, you telling me this sink is up to my chest and you want me to pick my foot up and wash in the sink? It's like, yes. He's like, yes, brother, that's what you have to do. So then I'm like, okay, and you want to hold my socks that I just worked in all day long? He's like, yeah, brother, that's fine. So I give him my socks, you know, I'm washing my feet as I'm almost finishing up my second, like my last foot, right? My right foot, or I forget which one I did first or last, but the last one I had to wash, I nearly.
The right would have been first, and the left would have been
second. My left foot last. So as I finish washing the left foot, I nearly fall backwards, right? I almost fell. And he's dying laughing. He's like, don't worry, you'll get used to this. This is all just, this is beautiful right now. So coming back out and coming into the, you know, into the room where we're all about to pray, and it was like a line of brothers just coming to hug me and welcome me. It was amazing, man. And since that day, it's been, you know, the only way that I can describe it from my past religion would be when I wake up every single morning, to pray Fajr at the masjid, right? I look forward to that like the first time I woke up as a kid on Christmas morning and seeing those presents under the tree. That's the
Mm,
only thing I can relate it to. And that's every day when I wake up for
deep,
Fajr.
deep. Wow,
MashaAllah, brother. It's
deep.
beautiful,
That's
you
deep.
know?
I want to put a pin on it right there, bro, because that I'm gonna clip
Absolutely.
that. I'm gonna clip that. That's beautiful. Mikhail, welcome to the religion, my brother. A pleasure having you on.
Jazakallah
Habib,
khairan, brother. I hope to talk more.
inshallah ta'ala. Habibi, you're welcome. Take care,
Inshallah.
Mikhail. Assalamu alaikum,
Assalamu
Habibi.
alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. There you go. To those of you who maybe you're a Christian or you're agnostic or you're atheist or I don't know what, and you're considering becoming Muslim, Christmas every day. And that's yani, he couldn't find something better to explain, but it's like that. Christmas every day, the feeling. SubhanAllah. Saeed, salam alaikum wa rahmatullah.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Yes,
Can
Akhi
you hear me?
Saeed. How you doing, bro?
الحمد لله. ويش خويا؟ سافا شوية.
Oh, ouais, ça va, شوية. انتيك bien. Wait, you speak Algerian?
لا. I learned that from you from one of your videos back in the day, bro.
Okay. MashaAllah. Yes,
Yeah.
which part of the world you calling from, bro?
I'm in Egypt at the moment. But,
Wow, okay. Well, you studying there?
yeah, تقريبا. But I live here, so yeah. I go back and
Okay.
forth to the Western work, and then I'll come back.
MashaAllah. Yes, Akhi Saeed, what do you have to add to the discussion, bro?
I caught the stream like the last 10 minutes, so I didn't really catch
so
that.
the stream has been with regards to the title was do YouTube imams give bad marriage advice. Brother Mikhail was telling us his conversion story just now, but the stream has been with regards to this discussion. So yani,
Yeah, I
what's
caught
your
that.
view on this?
I caught the last like few minutes of the stream. I knew it was about marriage. Yeah, I wanted to get your take on something. Basically, like first of all, my accent sounds mixed. That's because like I'm American, but I grew up in the UK, so it's like
Okay.
Don't get baffled when you hear me talking about that. Yeah, basically, I noticed there's always like a push from like imams, da'is to marry like sisters who are divorced or have children, or even older sisters. And I just seen a post on Facebook just 2 days ago. And then one of the brothers replied saying like, why would I do that? Why would I not just get like a young virgin sister? Like, I don't have kids. I'm young. I'm doing like, I want a virgin sister. Like, that's what I want. And then the sister replied with a reply that I normally hear, even from da'is as well, is that the Prophet ﷺ did it. So why don't you be like the Prophet? So my thing is, like, how come there's not a big push? Like, also, there's young sisters. Like, if you go get a sister, if you find a sister that's 18, 19, 20, she's beautiful, she's young, what's the likelihood she's going to marry a brother that's 40 and he's already got 1 or 2 wives? Why is there not a big push on sisters to accept ta'addud as there is? Because that happened as well. I mean, Aisha was young. The Prophet ﷺ, he married Sophia, if I'm not mistaken. She was quite young.
I can answer you that. And the reason why is because it's a disingenuous argument. And you will only find older women use that argument. You will never find a girl who's in her prime beauty-wise say, oh yeah, you should marry an older woman. Hello, Mr. Lovely Muslim man. You shouldn't marry me. You should marry an older woman. You never catch her saying that, bro. You only hear this narrative being echoed, number one, by older women who are past their prime, and number two, by men who want to implement the sneaky effort strategy, which I've gone over on my channel in the past, which is if I echo the sentiments and narratives that women popularly espouse, they will like me more. And then by extension, I will increase the chances of me being able to attract a mate, and so on. So that's why, bro, it's a disingenuous narrative, because trust and believe, if the Prophet ﷺ married a young virgin woman first, they wouldn't be saying, oh, the Prophet ﷺ married a virgin woman first, you should do that too. It's just convenient. That's all. It's convenient. And I would say, look, yes, the Prophet ﷺ did it. If you have experience dealing with women, fine, whatever. You want to marry a sister who's been married before, no problem. Those sisters need to be taken care of as well, no problem. But if you have never been married before, you don't have any experience of dealing with women, it's going to be very hard for a man who's never been with a woman before to accept a woman who has been with a man before. Very, very hard. And I don't recommend that to brothers who have not been married before, not committed zina, not been intimate with a woman. You're going to have a complex. For sure, you're going to have a complex.
But have you heard any guys though, like on YouTube or like that's quite popular, like push this, like
No.
None.
Nope.
But you have heard that men should marry divorcees.
Yeah,
women,
adi. But then again, I haven't heard all of the guys on YouTube, and I think you will find as well amongst the shuyukh, the actual mashayikh, and the lectures that are in Arabic, you're not going to hear this, bro. They're going to give it to you straight. They're going to tell you straight, bro. You're going to understand what the time is. Do you understand? From the old school mashayikh. But from the students of knowledge, the younger ones who are on YouTube and so on, this feminist narrative has been blended somewhat into their rhetoric. But I see the tide turning and the conversation changing, though.
Inshallah.
Akhi Saeed, a pleasure to have you on, my man. And you're right, bro. Your accent is mad.
I know. Allah yabarak fika.
Habibi, take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum. Salar, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Mahdi. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Let me just catch this super chat real quick, my man. 1 second. Somali Pirate, shout out to you for the $5 super chat. Assalamu alaikum, my guy Mahdi. Been here since 48 Laws of Power days. That's a long time ago. You're blowing mad right now. It's crazy. When's the Ali Dawah podcast dropping? Shout out to you, my guy. I appreciate it. Day ones. I appreciate the day ones. There's 4. I did 4 Ali Dawah podcasts, by the way. So I don't know when they will be dropping, but there's 4 of them. Keep an eye out for them. They are good. I hope that they come out on camera. It comes out on camera as good as the discussion felt in real life. Sometimes it doesn't translate on camera. But if it does, you guys are in for an absolute treat, man. You're in for a treat. Yes, what's going on, my guy? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Salar, how you doing, bro?
Salam, I'm very good, dude. Actually, one thing I wanted to say was that what Brother Mikhail said about his conversion, that reversion, sorry, that every day is like Christmas. It kind of reminds me of one of the other revert brothers that was on your chat. That I think he said something along the lines of that the Muslim community is hiding a secret that if everybody knew. That kind of reminded me of that. It was a very beautiful story, actually.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, just to stay on topic. I didn't actually I wasn't able to watch the entire podcast, but I got the gist of it. And I think to answer your question, that do Muslim Imams on YouTube give good marriage advice? I would say that it's not that they could give good or bad advice. I think because they're addressing the general public, right? They're not addressing a few select people. They're addressing everyone who's watching them. They're going to give advice that's going to be the least controversial and halal as much as possible for every school of thought. And I mean, I think these are Imams that want to help out the Muslim brothers who, because, it's because of the fitna that's in the world today, Muslims are going through a hard time with marriage and everything. So they want to give the advice, but I do agree with you there that I don't think they're qualified, because they're basically not brothers or sisters who've been dealing with this sort of stuff like you have, or like other sisters or brothers have who,
Yeah, I mean, in the stream I mentioned that this is not really a case of, if we reframe the question to, do they have a thorough, a well-grounded understanding of female psychology? If we change it to that question, then, this is no longer a religious question anymore. This is a question of, do you understand female psychology well? And, you'll find that the majority don't. Go on.
Yeah, and apart from that, I think Sister Lukman was there. She also mentioned that these Imams are disconnected from the general public these days, which I think they've done themselves. Like, they shouldn't be that much immersed into it in the first place, right? So that the advice that they give might be something that the general Muslim might not be able to relate to.
Mm.
But
Are you married yourself, Salah?
no, not yet.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
25. And how have you found the marriage market yourself so far?
Ooh.
Which country do you live in as well?
I live in Germany right now, but I come from Pakistan.
Right. So you live in Germany. And how have you found the marriage market as a 25-year-old Pakistani man, ethnically Pakistani, living in Germany?
Well, I can't comment on that because I haven't actually went out and looked for a wife myself. My family is actually looking for somebody for me right now while I focus on my studies over here. But I do have a story to share because I have, like, one of my best friends is a revert, and with not a lot of connections over here. So he's old enough and he wanted a wife. So me and him kind of decided that, let's try to find a wife for you. So we went to the two local masajid over here.
Right.
Right. And because, where else do we go to find a wife in the most halal way possible?
Got you.
Right. So what happened was that one of the masajid, I'm not going to mention because the masajid are basically headed by two different ethnic people. I'm not going to say which ones. But there are two different masajid that we went to, headed by two different ethnic people.
Right.
So one of them actually said that they don't deal with any sort of matchmaking stuff for Muslims. Like nobody does. The marriage market is very hard over here, at least in the city that I live.
So then where does one go then?
Yeah, that I don't know, but I actually want to highlight the attitude of some of the people that I came across.
Go on.
Okay, the first masjid we went to was still a bit more understanding. They said that they don't deal with this because they don't want to deal with the negative repercussions that that can come by from some matchmaking gone bad, right? But the imam of that masjid was courteous enough to actually take my friend's profile and just pass it around to see if there might be any sister who might be willing to give him a shot. But the other masjid we went to, actually, I explained the situation of this revert brother of mine, and the guy was borderline offended that I actually insinuated the idea that I'm here looking for. I came to the masjid in hopes of trying to connect with a girl for my friend, and the guy was saying, "Do you think this is halal?"
Well, what else are you meant to do then? If that's not
Yeah,
halal,
what else would I do? So when you say that my marriage, that's how I found the marriage market to be over here. It's not very good, actually.
Wow. Well, I hope your family are able to pattern you up then, bro. Salah, I'm gonna bring on the next caller, inshallah. I appreciate you coming on, Akhi.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Salam alaikum. Akhi Mustafa, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What's going on, my Aussie brother? How you doing, Akhi?
Alhamdulillah, brother. Yourself?
Alhamdulillah. Yes, sir. We got to have this discussion. What do you think? I'm looking forward to hearing
your
input on this, actually.
Brother, I would like to say these YouTube Imams, they're giving fantastic advice. MashaAllah.
Okay, mashallah.
Fantastic. I'll explain why.
Go on.
The reason why it's so good is because it allows brothers like ourselves who do their own research and self-educate in the fields of female psychology, interpersonal relationships, so on and so forth, to excel in this marketplace.
This is true, bro. This is true. Yeah, you know what? This is an excellent point. I said this once tongue in cheek on my channel. Like, sometimes I'm reluctant to talk about this stuff because if everyone learns it, then just the competition levels up and it gets harder. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, brother, I would like to have Hassan al-Dhan and assume the best of the brothers. There's multiple reasons. I believe Brother Bazad, he said that they're out of date and maybe that their hypergamy levels are so high that they can get away with this stuff, right? But I would like to go even further and say maybe they're choosing what they think is the lesser evil to reprimand brothers, rather than sisters.
How is that the lesser evil?
And I don't exactly know how, but I'll give you an example. Like, there's certain people, certain brothers, right, who, mashallah, they're old school. They always take themselves accountable for anything, you know, which is a good quality to have, but sometimes, you know, sometimes it's not your fault, right?
Right.
But maybe these imams, instead of reprimanding sisters, they'd rather reprimand brothers and try to educate brothers, which I'm not saying is the right way to go about it. Like, everyone on this stream knows the reality of this generation and what's going on. So that's why it's outdated. But maybe having hustle done, maybe they think that it's the lesser evil to educate brothers rather than to reprimand the sisters.
I mean, there are always hidden factors that are not obvious to us that we have to consider, and one of them is audience. And actually, I had one day say this to me. One day he said this to me, and he said to me, "The things you talk about, I can't talk about, because if I do, I will lose my audience." And it wasn't a money thing. I actually agree with his point of view. It was maslaha mafsada. It was like the harm outweighs the benefit. My audience, I do da'wah to my audience. If I talk about this thing here, I'm going to lose them completely. And then my opportunity to give da'wah to them on other more important things, you know, to do with tawheed and things like this, is gone.
Yes.
So we need individuals like yourself to talk about these things, because I can't. And that was interesting to me. That was interesting to me. So there are certain things that they have to either shy away from or fluff over. I think it's better for them to fluff over as opposed to it's better for them to shy away from as opposed to give fluffy answers, because fluffy answers can mislead. Are you with me? But I don't like with Sajid, for example. I believe he's genuine. I believe he genuinely believes what he's saying. I don't believe he's trying to fluff anything. He's just wrong. That's the bottom line. He's just wrong on this in this instance. And again, I haven't consumed this content, so I don't know nothing about the stuff that he does in da'wah and so on. But on this particular circumstance here, it is what it is.
But brother, honestly, bro, like YouTube imams one thing, but local imams, bro, it's getting a bit out of hand, man.
Go on, tell me how.
Brother, I remember like a few years ago, right? I was having like, you know, a chat with a certain imam in the area, and he kind of, there were at that time youth groups, like dawah youth groups was kicking off where I'm in my city, right? There were heaps, bro, subhanAllah, there was heaps of groups like kicking off. And the imam said to me, "Oh, brother, you know," he was explaining how dire and desperate the situation is for the sisters to find a husband. So I kind of offhand, kind of half joking, half serious, I was like, "Well, brother, I'm like, if sisters are in need, well, I'm here, yani, like, no problem, you know?
Yeah.
We're here to." And bro, wallah, his face went like, I wasn't being like disingenuous, like I was making like a half joke, but I was like half serious, like, you know. And he got so red, brother. I was like, I got a bit worried. I said, "Man, what's happening with this guy? Is he gonna like explode? What's going on?" And he started like reprimanding me and telling me, "Brother, do you know how hard it is to support multiple families, this, that, and other?" I said, "Brother, you just told me how hard the situation is for the sisters to find a husband.
Right.
I'm telling you, you know me, like, yeah, I'm telling you, like, no problem. Like, I'll put my hand up first, Habibi, like, young sisters, yeah, like, you know."
Yeah.
And it wasn't having a bit of it, bro. And then
why?
I find out that this, there's lots of reasons why, bro, but I find out this same imam, he was giving advice to walis, yeah, to fathers, that if a young boy comes to you to marry your daughter, if he doesn't have a house, that you should not, like, he was giving like fatwas and stuff. He was saying, do not allow them to get married.
Wow, like that.
And like he did, I'll give him, like, he wasn't saying not to own a house. He was saying like if they don't rent, right? Whereas I hold the opinion, bro.
Okay,
like,
well, this is understandable, yeah. I mean, obviously, I got married when I had nothing. I was 16, but my parents supported me, right?
Yeah.
But I do get it, bro. Especially like if you're a father, if you've got girls, like you want them to be taken care of. Huda, by the way, I see you there in the chat. What are you doing on the stream? Sorry, Akhi. If you have girls, you know, you want them to be taken care of. I get it, because you
Of
fear for
course.
your girls. I understand. But if it's gonna get to the point now where your girls that you're trying to protect are now committing zina, yeah,
Yeah.
do you understand?
Yeah.
Because you shut the door on them. This is when obviously we have a massive problem on our hands, and this is actually what is happening today in the West right now. It's running rampant, rife.
Tell me
And
about
forget
it,
the
bro.
West. It's happening in the Muslim world as well, not just the West.
Yes, fine.
Khair, inshallah, akhi, Mustafa. I appreciate you coming on, my man.
No problem, Habibi.
Habibi, look after yourself. Take care, akhi.
You too, bro. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Oh, we got Arab speaking guys in the chat. Zaki, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
What's going on, akhi? How you doing?
I'm good. Can you see my screen?
Not really, bro. This looks like what's going on here? Internet's moving a bit mad. I'm not gonna lie.
So
Go on. What you
how
got
are
for
you
me?
doing?
Let me just catch this.
Yeah,
catch
so
this chat. Hold on. Siham Kadur, Jazakallah khair for the €6 super chat. If you live in the West and do not earn at least 10k euros per month, wallah, you are much better off in a Muslim country. That's a really general statement. I mean, even in the West, it varies wildly. To be honest with you, less than England, for example, London. The difference between living in London and living in Bolton, bruv, it's a massive difference. It's a massive difference. So that's a bit of a arbitrary number. I'm not sure where you got that from, but I understand what you're saying. And generally speaking, living off in a Muslim country anyway is better. Yes, regardless. Jazakallah khair for the €6 super chat. Yes, my man Zaki, what's going on?
yeah. Regarding the previous chat, yeah, I agree. I live in Indonesia, so the most majority.
You call it from Indonesia, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Fajar now. Yeah. So yeah, the problem is rampant, like zina and so on. So yeah, especially in the West, right? Since like in Indonesia, there is still like haya. Some of the women is still afraid like doing promiscuous stuff. But it's also
let me ask you a question. In Indonesia right now, what's the situation on the ground in Indonesia? The marriage situation, is it easy for brothers and sisters to get married? Is it difficult? Is there a lot of zina? What's the situation?
So yeah, actually I'm getting married like 3 months in 3 months. So yeah, and I'm also like 21 years old right now.
Excellent.
So I'm still a bit young. I guess speaking of which, like I agree there is some like I guess cultural stuff like still strong. So you need to bring quite a lot of money like to take some bride. Like
When you say a lot, when you say a lot, is it in?
Yeah.
Can the average young man in Indonesia afford this, or is it too much for him?
I think you will still need like your parents' support. So I'm 21. I just graduated college this year, so I'm getting some entry level job, and I still need my parents like help to like bring some of the like walima and some gifts and like the ring and so on. So I'm grateful I have my parents to like support me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But
I think
the majority of young men in your age bracket, 21 to 25, are they married or single in Indonesia?
I think 21 single, like not married. Maybe like 25, 27, like approaching that mark. But I think especially.
But let me ask you a question, Zach. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I don't know how the situation is in Indonesia, but it'll be interesting to know. Do you think that your average everyday local imam at the masjid, that he gives good marriage advice or bad marriage advice?
So I think,
and before you answer that, let me catch this from our brother Mikhail. Shout out to brother Mikhail once again. Jazakallah khair for the $5 super chat, my man. Brother Mahdi, salute my G. Keep doing what you do, and to all, let's follow our brother and show him support, inshallah. Much respect, brother Mikhail. Barakallahu feek, akhi. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, go on, akhi Zaki. Answer that question for me.
Yeah. So I think there is like a divide, like a traditional imam, like a traditional masyayikh like in the I guess in the
You know, Indonesian women, yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Indonesian women, because I've seen some of the videos, bro, but I've never been to Indonesia. From what I understand, they are extremely submissive. They have an excellent reputation in terms of being wives. This is what we as Western Muslims see from the YouTube snippets. So what's the situation on the ground in Indonesia? Has feminism infected the sisters in your country, or are they as we see them on the videos and stuff? I got one video on my channel, bro. Like, it was amazing, actually, the way, like, when the man, she was doing the nikah, and when he first touched her, and she was like, she was so shy to even touch him, and she was dressed head to toe. You're laughing at me, bro. So am I off here? Am I completely off?
No, I think in the big cities there is especially like college educated. In the big cities like in Jakarta, in the capital city, there is rampant feminism. Like, I think it's not that like traditional anymore. Like in the cities, like in the big cities.
Wow.
There's a strong like I guess Muslim the Muslim population is big, and the traditional Muslim is quite a lot. But there's also like like feminism, like westernization, like I guess from the schools, from the social media, internet. It does. It's quite bad actually. Like
So this is an international problem. Indonesia
it is.
a majority
It
Muslim
is.
country, Indonesia, and still you're suffering from this problem.
Yeah, it's quite bad actually. Like especially the Gen Z, like the millennials, and also it's actually quite bad. But there is also some a big population of like good practicing Muslim, who doesn't. So because the school is mixed, most of the school is mixed. Like there is also like free mixing, like with women and men is normal. Like for most Muslims, but also there is like madrasah and also traditional like what we call as pesantren, like traditional madrasah, where there is a segregation between men and women. If you want to find a wife, maybe that's the place to look. To look on like I guess the public schools. The public school is mixed, and most of them is like it's quite bad.
Interesting. Zaki, I appreciate you coming on, my man. Barakallahu fiik.
Thank you.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum. Khabib's cousin. Oh no, wrong one. That's AJ. Khabib's cousin. What's going on, bro?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was almost close.
Yes, Akhi. Answer the question. Do online imams, YouTube imam sounds derogatory, online imams, do they give good advice or bad marriage advice? Or are they even qualified?
So, I made myself a couple of notes, so let me just speak about them. So first of all, most of those imams people nowadays listen to, I'm not going to mention any names because everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
These are some people, and especially two of them. One of them participated in a shirk ritual with these LG TV HDH plus whatever people doing literally shirk.
LCD, LED, HD TV. I got you, bruv. I got you.
OLED TV screen, whatever. He participated in a shirk ritual of that person. And wallahi, when I see something like this, as a Muslim, you should already know this person is sus. That even if he was fine on every single point, but he did this shirk thing, then you already shouldn't trust him, no matter what he says. Then, second thing, another one of those people they listen to, he literally said that istighatha isn't shirk, it's just haram. Like you doing istighatha, you going to a grave and making dua to the person in the grave, isn't shirk. Like these are 2 points that I already want to make. And it seems like it's kind of similar to what you said, that they want to keep the audience.
Let's differentiate the two, though, because look, never mind him. You can have someone who's non-Muslim, completely non-Muslim, kafir, but still his understanding of female psychology and that whole arena is sound. So, it's not. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, of course, religion, we cannot extrapolate it completely, but there are certain elements with regards to female psychology that doesn't have to come from the religion. It's just female psychology. It is what it is. It doesn't even have to be Muslim. So what's the connection here?
Wait, what exactly do you mean? Like,
so what my
did you
question
get my point? What I was saying?
I understand your point, but what I'm saying is you're trying to say that because of this thing that he does, this shirky thing that he does, that we can't listen to him with regards to anything, including marriage advice. And I'm saying to you, you have those who are mushrikeen, clear mushrikeen, but they know stuff about marriage. They know stuff about relationships.
Okay, that's true. That's true. But in this case, of course, if we listen to someone who's just into psychology, he will give us good advice on some points, but then also you'll see these people, and some of them will literally tell you, okay, go and do zina and test drive the car before you buy it.
Throw this away. Throw this away. Of course, obviously. I mean, throw this.
Yeah, like this is where I would differentiate. Like, it's not that easy to actually say, okay, we can take from everybody concerning this advice. And also a point I want to make in the beginning about Sheikh Uthman, I think this was one of his weaker moments, or moments where he might have not fully understood the question or what was said. Because, if you look at his Instagram page, he's probably one of the harshest people I know. Like, he's constantly.
I know nothing about his content, by the way.
He's a thorn in the eyes of the kuffar, the Christians, the whatever. Like, he constantly speaks about kufr and shirk on Instagram, and YouTube he refutes everybody, like all those Christians and whatnot. His da'wah is, alhamdulillah, very good.
Right. Okay. Alhamdulillah. I know nothing about him, to be honest with you. And to be fair,
I had 2 points though. I had 2 other points though, one concerning you, and the other is also technically concerning you. So I had a question. You're constantly using.
Is it on topic though?
Yeah, it's on topic.
Go on.
You're constantly using these statistics. For example, you're saying like 90% divorce rate, etc. These aren't statistics concerning Muslims, though. Like, this is something I thought. Is this really? I'm just playing like devil's advocate here, you know? So
it's not a Muslim thing or a non-Muslim thing. It's when they done these studies, they didn't ask, are you Muslim or are you not Muslim? Oh, by the way, what's your religion? Oh, you're Jew? No, you don't count. Oh, Hindu? No, you don't count. It's just broad. They're broad studies, irrespective of religion. Are you with me? Well, I've had this discussion in the past with other brothers as well. Oh, but we're Muslims, we're different. I'm sorry, we're subjected and affected and infected by the same issues that non-Muslims are, as we can see today.
I mean, but there's a clear difference between them. They have no guidance, they have no rules, they go by.
Yeah, I mean, I will accept that a Muslim woman, she won't get as much leeway with this type of narrative because the religion ropes her in and pulls her back. But we're still affected. You could argue, you could make that argument that maybe Muslims are least affected, but we're still affected. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it everywhere. Wallahi, in university, for example, we got prayer rooms. These sisters, wallahi, I'm surprised. You don't even have to. Even if you lower your gaze, you will still see something within your eyesight. Even if you don't look at it, wallahi, I see sisters praying in tight pants, and they don't even question it. And then I'm thinking, wallahi, this is in the West, and I'm thinking,
you know what? There's 2 ways to look at this. Okay. One way to look at this, a sister praying in tight trousers, is how could she? What's wrong with her? What's wrong with this woman? Has she got no shame? That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it, which is the way that I'm inclined towards, is this sister here, she's struggling with her iman, which is why she's wearing tight pants. But she still has enough iman in her to remember to come to the masjid to pray.
I think I have a third take on it, and it's actually quite different. Because I've seen this been said so many times here, especially I'm from Germany, and here we have some people who call themselves Muslims, but they're like agents of the government. And they are saying stuff like you don't have to wear hijab, you can pray mixed, like a woman can be your imam. And
if she openly says that, then I will
already know what the ruling is.
We reject them. We reject them.
Yeah, of course. But this is what sisters listen to. This is what sisters listen to.
Khabib's cousin, hold on a second. If she's of that third category that you have just mentioned, then we reject them. But if you were to approach her and say to her, sister, you know, your dress code is not quite appropriate and so on, and she says to you, I know, brother, I'm trying. If she gives you that type of response, then I would say to you the second answer is correct, which is this sister, despite the fact that she's wearing tight clothing, she still has enough iman to want to come and pray. This is an indication of her iman. So if she gives you that answer where she recognizes that this is wrong, she recognizes that she needs to do better, then this is a plus. She's moving in the right direction. Because the last thing we want to do is chase them out the masjid. Imagine we shame them to the point where they feel ashamed to pray their salah. She's at uni. She wants to come to the musalla. She wants to pray. She knows I have to pray. But she knows also I'm going to get shamed. So you know what? Forget it. I'm just not going to pray. That's worse.
Well, I'd say there's, I mean, I don't know if you know the situation in universities, but it's really bad. Wallahi, me as a man, I can already tell by some of the.
We just need to get you a wife, bro. Man's steaming hot out here. What's your Instagram, big man? Come on, bro. What's your Instagram?
No, I ain't gonna share it now.
What do you mean not gonna share it? To all the walis who are in the chat, yani, we need to get fix Abu Muawiyah.
Well, okay, whatever. I'm gonna type it in the chat, whatever.
What country do you live in?
Well, I typed it in this chat. I don't know if you can see
Hold
it.
on. What country do you live in?
Germany.
Germany. Yallah. To all the walis in the chat, we need to sort out man like Abu Muawiyah. Looks like a good brother, mashallah. Yani, save the brother from the fitna. You get me, man.
No, what I'm saying, wallahi, these sisters, I think, especially because as we saw in Sajid's video, he's proposing sisters should go to university because then they have like a plan B if they get divorced and stuff. Wallahi, it's not a good option. The iman of the sister will get wrecked in university.
Yeah, for sure.
They're surrounded by kuffar women who constantly talk about boys and this guy's cute. I talked to him last week. I kissed him. I slept with him. This is the stuff they talk about. And then these sisters come. Well, I don't want to keep mentioning this, but they come in tight pants in front of every man. They enter the room in front of every man. Every man can look at them. Tight pants. Well, sometimes I'm surprised. How do we get at this point?
Yeah, it's a fitna, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Are you all praying in the same room or something?
No. So the prayer room. I mean, there are multiple like different campuses. So one of them has this prayer room where the guys pray. Actually, it's kind of okay. It's actually a smart way. Sisters pray in the back. Like you enter the room, and man, it's kind of hard to describe. Either way, you're not praying in the
head higher. You're cutting off half your face in the video. Go on, carry on.
Like you can't really see the sisters. One of them actually has like a full barrier, and one of them has like a shelf in between.
I got you. Okay, khair. Listen, Khabib's cousin, Abu Muawiyah, I'm going to bring on the next caller, inshallah. Look after yourself, Habibi. Assalamu alaikum. Ali Yusuf, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How you doing, brother? Which part of the world you calling from today?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm in the state of Oregon in the U.S.
Nice. What do you have to add to the discussion, Akhi Ali?
Just nothing. I want to congratulate the brother Mikhail as a fellow revert myself. It's great to see. So yeah, I've been in Islam now for a few months and listening to you a lot.
Another new revert, mashallah. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Alhamdulillah. I just want to say it's kind of a paradox. Like I see it at work as far as earlier in the stream with the Imams. I train cops. It's what I do.
No way.
Yeah. Say again.
I said that's so cool. That's interesting. I never met someone who trains cops.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So, I am one, but the paradox lies in the fact that when you go into training, you start to kind of lose the game. You start to, you become more a student of knowledge. In training cops, you lose the street knowledge.
The street, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, say again.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So as I see it, and it's one of those things where I grew up Mormon. That's the other kind of interesting thing, right? So I grew up in Mormonism, and it's kind of the same thing when you kind of join the clergy, you lose touch with the people. When you're out there, you become a student of knowledge, and hence you lose your tools become less sharp. because it's more about the theory, the ideal situations, as opposed to actually making it work out in the street. So
You know,
I agree
even
with you 100%, my man.
even in sport, this plays out. You've got something called match fitness in football.
Yeah.
They call it match fitness. You can get as fit as you like in training and all the rest of it. Match fitness is something else. Fight fit is something else. Being able to compete in the arena is a different type of fitness than the, well, in this context, normal training, or in the context you're referring to, theory. They're two different animals completely.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. That's all I had to say. I'm a big fan, so thank you for bringing me
I
on.
appreciate you, Ali Yusuf. Welcome, Akhi, to Islam. Take care of yourself,
Thank
my
you.
man.
Likewise.
Assalamu alaikum wa
Wa
rahmatullah.
alaikum salam.
Munir, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. What's going on, Habibi?
So, concerning your the topic, I have like 2 points that I wrote them down.
Go for
So
it.
the first one is that we have like sometimes I really sense that anti-scientific sentiment in the Muslim community, you know, that we kind of disregard worldly knowledge in favor of like the knowledge of deen, which is obviously like superior to worldly knowledge, obviously, but it's kind of like going into a direction where it's like completely disregarded. But you know, obviously, like hadith, which says, I don't know if I phrase it correctly, but it's like "Antum a'lamu bidunyakum," something along these lines. So like there's
Yes,
still
yes,
like there's still like in our
You know,
deen,
the
there's
translation of that is, you know about your worldly affairs.
yes, exactly. So it's not haram to have like to and like indulge in the what is it called in the discourse of like science and stuff, because like I have the feeling that sometimes we are like especially in the Muslim community, the Muslims are like regarded as like as if they have transcended biology, like biological needs and stuff. Because sometimes like I also like sometimes read on Instagram these posts like beauty is not so important. You have to look at the heart and stuff, and your outer appearance is not that important. But at the end, like the biology of us Muslims is sometimes like disregarded, and it's not like taken seriously. That we Muslims also, even though like sometimes our iman like can override like these shahwat and stuff, but we still have it in us. It's still part of our fitra that we like don't that we also value beauty and all these like shahwat things,
So my question to you, Munir, is, in your experience, perhaps, I don't know, do the local imams give net benefit, positive marriage advice, or are they off the mark, especially in today's day and age?
Like in my area,
what's your experience in this regard?
Like what I often see is that there's this this what's it called in English? It's called my no, the word's on my tongue. I forgot the word, but it's like this this complex that you have, like inferiority complex. That's the word.
Inferiority complex, yeah.
In sometimes like especially in Germany here, the imams are like very very weak and not. I can see that it's getting more mainstream to be like that the Muslim sentiment is becoming more mainstream in like in the English speaking areas, but here we still have this inferiority complex of a lot of imams, and so I sometimes see like all these a lot of quotes on like masjids which says some like feminist stuff. So the imams in our area, they're trying to kind of please the mainstream, the popularized opinions and the popularized discourse.
I got you. I got you. Makes sense. Munir, I appreciate you coming on, my man. Look after yourself, Habibi.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Adnami. Who's that? Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
What's your name, bro?
It's I would rather not give my name, but you can just call me Adnami. I'm
Fair enough.
from
You got the clearest audio so far, so I appreciate that. What's going on, bro?
yeah, thanks, man. I'm from Morocco, in case that's important.
Okay, and what you got to add to the discussion, bro?
I'll just add my 2 cents on it. Obviously, as you can see, I don't really have much experience in marriage because I can't do that. But from what I've seen, at least, I think the red pillars really give some good marriage advice. It's just that it's not like Islam friendly. You get what I mean?
A lot of it isn't, and the one
Yeah.
stuff that isn't, you get rid of it.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents. I actually just wanted to ask you something.
Go on.
'Cause I
But is
don't
it
really
on
have.
topic though? Is it on topic?
No, I don't
Adnami.
think so. No, I don't think so.
Khalas.
Yeah, okay.
You're welcome to email me, my man. All right, Farhan, what's going on? Salam alaikum. Audio, bro, no audio. You're on mute. There you go. I unmuted you. We can't hear you, bro. We can't hear a word you're saying, my guy. Can't hear a word you're saying, Akhi. Ayman, salam alaikum. Nope, Ayman's out of here. AJ, what's going on? Nope, AJ's not in the chat. Ibrahim Khalil, salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam, bro. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah. What are you saying, Akhi?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. So I just wanted to come on and just give my sort of answer to the question. So do YouTube Imams give bad marriage advice?
Go on.
I think they do. And you know what I think it is to do? It's like experience, as you said. You know, they don't have experience in this sort of field. So why are brothers taking advice from them? You know, I'm not saying I have experience with women, but I know who to take advice from. I mean, I've been watching your stuff and AbuAmerican stuff, and you can clearly see the difference by the way you guys answer things in this sort of field and the way the Imams answer their sort of thing. You know, the way they give advice is like, oh, move to the left, right, quack, quack, like a duck or whatever. You know, happy wife, happy life, and whatnot. All of this nonsense, yeah. Like,
which, by the way, that might work for Mufti Menk because he's Mufti Menk. So maybe that works. So maybe he can do that and feel like he's top G in the house. Do you understand? Because he's Mufti Menk.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's good advice for the average, everyday, average Abdullah, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, like you're getting advice from not just him. I'm saying like in general. Like you might go to your local mosque or whatever, and this imam saying, "Oh, talk to your wife about her cheating on you or whatever." You know, you need to open up, talk to them. Like, bro, it's like saying, you know what it seems like? Like you won't get advice from a man who doesn't have a daughter and who's dealing with his daughter's, you know, menstruation, right? You won't just say, "Oh, put a plaster on it." Yeah, you deal with it like that. You know,
that was so graphic, but okay, it works. Yeah, I got.
You get advice from a man who doesn't have a daughter. Yeah, so why are you getting advice from people who don't have experience, right? That's the way I see it. Yeah, we take knowledge from like people who have experience in this sort of field.
The thing is, everyone thinks they have experience once they get married. They think, because I'm married, I have experience. And maybe there is some truth in that. But you know what? Let me tell you something. Yeah, if you've had, I fell victim. I fell into this trap, and that is, if you've only ever had one wife, by the way, yeah, you will think that how she is how all women are, for better or for worse. It could be she has amazing qualities. It could be that she has very bad things about her, but you will think this is how all women are. You will only really know or have a good idea, a good feel for what women are like once you've experienced different types, different characters. It's character specifically that I'm talking about. And then you're able to balance this with the knowledge that you acquire. Then you can come out here and talk about how to get the best out of a woman in a marriage, in a relationship, and so on. You with me?
Yeah, it's just about experience at the end of the day. That's what I see it as. And yeah. So second, another point I wanted to make is, you know, about this whole red pill stuff and whatnot. Like I used to, when I first used to start watching your content, yeah, I didn't really understand what it was about. And recently I've come across, like, you know, on TikTok, yeah, these sisters say when someone goes against their sort of opinion, the first thing they say, oh, this person's a red pill, you know, Muslim, Salafi brother, this, that, and the. I don't understand. Like, I get where they're coming from. I didn't understand it at first, but then you mentioned it on Brother Dilly's podcast, yeah, about, you know, you don't learn how to be a doctor or a surgeon from the Quran or the Hadith or whatever, yeah. You learn it from like you take knowledge from different things. Whether if it's bad knowledge, then you throw it away. Khalas, that's it, right? But you take the good knowledge from
If
it.
it's haram, yeah. But the reason why people do that is because it's an excuse to shut their brain off. I don't have to think about what this guy's saying. I can just simply label him. Isn't that so much easier? Oh, he's that red pill guy. Yeah, forget what he said.
That's what they always do, man. They just say, "Oh, he's a red pill this, red pill that," and I'm just like, you don't have no knowledge on this, yeah. But yeah, you summed it up perfectly on his podcast. Yeah, you don't take knowledge on how to be a doctor or driving a car from the Quran, do you? Like, it's just,
and that is the hadith that brother Munir quoted just now of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you know best about the affairs of the dunya, of your dunyawi affairs, you know best about them. Take your knowledge from where you need to take it from.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And lastly, yeah, I wasn't violating you last week on the comments section. Yeah, I just wanted to say that your mic was off. Just trying to just say that.
I appreciate that,
That's
bro.
all
I appreciate
I wasn't
that.
violating.
It's a bit techie back here sometimes, but I appreciate that, Ibrahim.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. Assalamu alaikum.
Habibi wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And on that note, I'm out, guys. Barakallahu feekum. Pleasure having you here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.